Have you seen a change? Tell us what has happened since President Trump was sworn in as our 47th president.
Maria, I don't think there's ever been a more sudden and swift change in any government operation than under President Trump when he took the oath of office. I would say overnight, but on the first hour of his tenure as president, we saw the change where there were military sent to the border. The military were blocking people from crossing the border illegally. The numbers of people who crossed on the 19th of January dropped dramatically on the 20th of January. They have continued to drop, and every single day, President Trump, working with Tom Homan, they've been deporting people to the countries they came from. But to show how Texas is a partner in all this process, on the hour that President Trump took office, Texas was deploying more buoys in the Rio Grande to deter and deny illegal entry into the country.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you about us boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun, sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 1,000 cities around the world. We just finished 16 years of broadcast excellence, now in our 17th year. The Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. Who knew that surviving the loaded, provocative missives spitting from the Dems' clenched teeth could be this terrible to them? Bernie Sanders thought he was going to destroy Robert F. Kennedy with a no vote for suing the likes of Pfizer and getting 10% as a finder's share. Bernie was close to having a Biden breakout when RFK reminded Bernie that Bernie had received well over 1 million or 2 contributions from Pfizer, letting us wonder if his loyalty to this company made him an accomplice to the millions of Americans and other millions of deaths around the world. Speculation was ripe over Bernie and Warren on whether or not they would be wearing white Pfizer lab suits during their interrogations. Then, an author of the 1-6 Lies and behind numerous conspiracies to impeach and jail Donald J. Trump, Adam Schiff took on Kash Patel, FBI appointed by Trump. Schiff, about to lose total control, ordered Patel to look at the D.C. cop sitting behind him and was answered by a poised witness telling crazed Schiff that he was looking straight at him, reminding everybody that 300,000 police advocated for Kash for future FBI director. Today, just after the horrible crash in D.C., the Dems are going to elect the leader of their party. Other than Senator Fetterman, the only candidate that could unify the Democratic Party, in my mind, is Donald J. Trump. Why? Because they are going down further and further each day. And they might as well hang with the Donald at McDonald's while they think about what they've done and what they really stand for.
We suddenly now have a commander-in-chief who cares about national security, who cares about securing the border, who's going to enforce the law. And importantly, he has a governor in a state in Texas that will be a partner with the Trump administration. We will assist in the arrest, the detention, and the deportation of people coming across the border illegally.
And deportations are now well underway. Some have been put on planes. Are they going back to Mexico? Where are you sending them? Give us a sense of the practical process that is happening right now.
So hundreds up to close to 1,000 are being sent back across the border on a daily basis under the Trump administration. Some are going to Mexico. Others, you will see flights that are going to Guatemala and some other Central American countries. And the Trump administration is going to be sending them back to their home countries and demanding compliance by these countries that they take back the people who have crossed the border illegally.
Hello and welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. My name is Dave Weinbaum. I'm going to be your host today. And I'm here with my lovely bride, Lisa Ann Weinbaum. Hello, Lisa Ann Weinbaum, or as we know her as the Law.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. How are you today?
Wonderful.
Oh, my.
How are you?
We're getting along really nice. Did you ever notice that?
How are you?
We're kind of getting along nice. First time in, 50 years or so? I don't know.
How's your eyeball that I had absolutely nothing to do
well,
with?
No. There are no accidents.
I was in the kitchen making your sandwich. I couldn't have possibly been
Right.
involved.
So I have to reach up to get my robe. I woke up to the alarm clock. Unlike me, usually I get up earlier at 4:40 in the morning, and I'm stumbling around, and I pull down my robe because I can't reach it. I can't go as high as what it is, and you have to sort of reach it, and then the hanger, which was symmetrically put up by either my wife or somebody else, it was on a sort of like an aim towards my right eye, where I had no glasses on because it was dark yet, and it hit me right in the eyeball. Okay, right on the right side of my eyeball, and I'm thinking to myself, holy, you know what? I think I just killed my right eye.
And so as you told me this story earlier, all I could think of is Christmas Story with the "you shoot your eye out." That's just what kept going back to me on this one.
And just thinking that somebody else had to be responsible for this. I mean, I didn't set myself up like that. I just don't have any idea. Go ahead, tell me.
You yank all of your clothing off
because they're way up above
even
me.
the ones
you
below.
Do that. I'm 5'4".
You yank them and you pop
maybe
those hangers.
5'3", and you're putting stuff so far up there, including dishes, and I'm surprised I haven't killed myself yet.
Oh,
all right, that's it for that. That's
you
it for
can't handle the truth.
That's right. And I want to also, and in that mood, let's welcome our producer, JP Maxwell. Hi, JP.
Good
How
morning,
are you?
everybody. Doing good.
Anybody throw any hangers at your eyeball lately?
Not this week. So I'm head of the game.
No, you with a bad back took your son out, and tell him what happened there.
So PSA, public service announcement. Don't do stuff when you're 40 that you used to be able to do in your 20s. At least,
especially you got a bad back.
I have trouble with my lower back off and on, and so I took my son sledding when we had the huge ice and snowstorm that were finally melting off, by the way, thankfully. And so we have a big hill by our local junior high. He says, "Dad, the kids have built this huge ramp. I mean, a big one. I want to hit the ramp." I'm like, "Well, all right, go up the hill and go for it." "No, I want you to go with me." So being the good father that I am, I traipse up the hill and I sit down the sled, put him on my lap, and my goal was hit the side of it so we could go up just a little bit and give him that thrill, but not, no, we hit it flush. We go airborne. I come, bam, right down on that thing. And ever since then, from my lower back to the top of my tailbone, I can't hardly even sit down.
All right. So, well, before we get into other miseries of our own selves, we are here. We're feeling good. We're very upset about the plane crash, and we're going to be talking about that soon. But first, let me tell you who we got on the show coming up. Rabbi Moshe, who's sitting there staring at me, JJ Bradshaw, Chris Adamo, Anders W. what is it? Edwardsson.
Edwardsson, yeah.
Yes. He's a new guy, and he should be interesting. And then we've got the McCluskeys coming out at 10:30. So we got a great show. And right now, let me introduce you to the man who's steering. I mean, by the way, Rick Henderson does all the clips and the bits, and he does a great job with them. And we have some very interesting discussions. The man I'm staring at you right now. He's a wartime rabbi and author, and holding up his book. Good. The name of the book is what?
Secrets of the Hebrew Bible.
Secrets of the Hebrew Bible. He takes your contributions, turns them into buying winter clothes for the troops and helping the mothers of the widows of IDF soldiers. Please welcome the second most powerful in Israel, according to his wife Yonit, and his own home, Rabbi Moshe Rother. Yes, okay.
Thank you.
So, encyclopedias used to contain the full knowledge of the world in 23 full books. The Talmud, used through the ages, has 73 full books with all the knowledge. What is it, and why is it important, the Talmud?
It's interesting that you're asking me that question. Didn't see that coming.
Did you get that clip that I sent you about that guy who decided he was going to read the Talmud, and it was a really good clip. I wish you'd look at stuff I send you.
Well, let me just tell you this: the Talmud has over 2,700 pages.
Yeah,
and there is a movement that I'm part of that we study one page a day, and it takes.
What do you call it?
It's called, in Hebrew, it's called Daf Yomi, means a page a day.
Yeah.
And it takes 7.5 years to complete the entire study of the Talmud.
1 page a day.
1 page a day.
Wow.
It takes about between 40 minutes to an hour to complete a page. It's not like reading a page in a book where you can read it in a minute or two. But it's long, and it's a complicated book. It contains every part of the Jewish faith. It has traditions and culture and Jewish law and some history, and it has. I mean, it's a very vast and expansive and extensive book, and it's considered the gold standard of Jewish study. You know, the Bible is very easy to read, but to master the Talmud is considered something extraordinary.
Have you done that?
Have I mastered the whole thing? Not yet. No.
Not yet. All right.
But there are people that know the entire Talmud by heart.
How does that differ from the Torah?
It's totally different because it has in it. It's based essentially. It's a lot of it's dialogue between different great sages, and it's a lot of the dialogue is often just a foil. It could be great sages that lived in different centuries, and it's as if they're talking to each other. There's dialogue. The whole structure, the way it's written, is completely different, and it's a little bit hard to explain, but it really covers starting from around 2,000 years ago. The Bible, the canon of the Bible, ended way before the Talmud. Way before. So
really, that's right. So it's not. It's based on I don't know what it's based on. It's got to be based on the Torah.
Well, it's based on the Torah. It's what's called the oral tradition. So, for example, if I said to you, I went to the baseball game, okay?
Yeah.
But I don't explain to you the reason I went because it was a birthday for my son, and I bought a hot dog, and I don't give you all the details. So the oral law takes the written law, which is very concise, the Talmud, and expands upon it and explains.
It explains what the laws are and why they're there. Is that correct?
Right. It does not stand alone. It's the
And it has
oral
stories.
tradition.
You can go and argue the Talmud as a rabbi. I don't know if we're allowed. I don't know if anyone's allowed. Who's allowed? But people actually gather to debate the Talmud. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. You have to. Yeah, you study every day. We generally study with another person.
Yeah.
And part of the process is discussing and debating and arguing. That's why Jews, honestly, with not even joking, make good lawyers, because when you study
Yeah.
the Talmud, it gives you the ability to reason, the ability to analyze, to make logical deductions. And Alan Dershowitz will tell you one of the reasons he became such a great lawyer is because he studied Talmud as a kid and in high school, and it sharpens your mind.
All right. Well, that's very interesting. It's an extremely big part of Judaism,
Yeah.
as you've testified to. See, speak like a lawyer, as you've testified to, sir. Yes, and so that's interesting to me, and I hope it just there's a flicker of just a light to everyone else to see how complicated it is to be a real Jew. I'm not. And it's not like I'm going to do it either.
Ah,
7
Dave,
years, I'd be 83.
You're authentic. You're the real McCoy, Dave. Don't put
Bill
yourself down.
McDonald. I'm Ronald McDonald, am I? I'm an Irish Jew. What can I tell you? All right. So right now you're getting living hostages back with Hamas, and Hezbollah seems to be celebrating a phony victory. What
Okay.
would be in Israel when they start delivering dead hostages and still telling us that they're going to wipe out the Jews?
Yeah, well, yeah, we had we're expecting 3 more tomorrow, 3 live hostages, and there'll be 3 men. What's interesting, I'm sure you've seen, because very popular, those redheaded kids that were taken hostage, the youngest hostage at turn 1. So it's their father that's being released. So we don't know if those 2 kids are still alive. The word is that they unlikely to be, or else they would have been released.
Wow.
The father is supposed to be released tomorrow. But the way they've been doing it is they want to create this sort of false image that they're powerful and strong. And yesterday, I don't know if you saw what happened, but when they released this female hostage,
Yes. They also released some information.
He didn't like that scene, so he turned around the 30 terrorists that we were supposed to release and sent them back to prison.
Now this is I stepped on your line a little bit. They killed the guy that grabbed her and shoved her around and dragged her by her hair into a car.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they had found him, and I think the day before they killed him before she was released.
They
Then,
killed him 4 months before he was released and kept it quiet.
It was 4 months. But they reported it yesterday. It's been reported.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So,
see, I'm on this stuff. I'm watching it. It's not like I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. We talked about the state of our intel, the Jewish and American and whatever intel we were using at the time, being, well, it can happen, even if it's even if we're sure the surprises happen and everybody gets fooled once in a while. Let's talk about after the attack started. That's, to me, is the real failure of this, is that these people were left by themselves to deal with these animals. Yes, I said animals, who were attacking them, and they had nobody to defend them for a long time. How many hours did they go without having anybody there?
Yeah, that to me, and I said this to you last week, that to me is really the greater failure.
Yeah.
It's because there are failures. They didn't know something's going to happen, but when it happened, why was the response so slow? Certain places, the army didn't get there till 10 p.m. when the attack started at 6:30 in the morning. Some places 2:30 in the afternoon. Some places they never got there. And that's really, to me, a bigger question. It's like, if you think about it in the United States, imagine the police don't know about something, but once you call them, they're going to show up relatively quickly. So how come, they didn't show up so quickly? Why was Herzi Halevi, who's now going to resign,
Right.
who's the head of the army, why was his response so pathetically slow?
Yes.
And that's
weak. And they didn't really understand what he was talking about, apparently. And maybe he didn't understand what he was talking about. I don't know. But once it happened, that's when that you're in war, and you have to be aware of that.
Look, it doesn't matter that, he has served his country for decades and so on. This is the one thing he's going to be remembered by.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
It's tragic, but that's the truth. That's what he's going to be remembered by.
Now, Iranian commentator says Iranians hate the Palestinians, and that Iranian youth praises Israel, and Bibi is their hero. Is that true?
It's true in general. The Arab world, which Iranians are technically not Arabs, but we'll call them that for our purposes.
They're Persians, right?
They're Persians, and they're not. They don't speak even Arabic. They speak Farsi, a different language. But in general, in the Middle East, the Palestinians are seen as the lowest of the low. Right? They don't see them in a good light, and they're just pawns in their battles against Israel. The truth is, nobody likes them. If they liked them, they would take them in.
Yeah.
And they're considered really the lowest of the low in the Arab world.
Now, the Germany, here's, I guess, a bit of decent news, denies citizenship to those who chant from the river to the sea.
Yeah, I mean, that is good news.
If you're a citizen already, does that mean you get to do it?
That's a good question, but but maybe, we're going to turn the tide, starting with Donald Trump and the United States, turn the tide against these people. A lot of those executive orders are going to be very helpful in prosecuting these people.
What's the deal with condoms for Gazans?
$50 million of condoms, but you know what they were using them?
Our taxpayer money going right to Gaza in a little.
Clearly, they weren't using them for birth control, but they were using them for balloons, incendiary devices.
Yes,
there are pictures of them using them, inflating the condoms. I know how crazy this sounds, but inflating them and attaching devices to light fire to Israeli fields.
That's what's going to beat what Israel did with those zip collars, whatever you want to call them.
Oh yeah, with the beepers.
You have so much pride in saying, and we made money with it. What's that?
Yeah. Well, they sold them condoms, and there's got to be a good joke there somewhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Start using that joke. Yeah, I mean, you can make up one. Come on, it's about time.
I haven't given it enough thought. I got to think about
other jokes like my jokes. Hello. So, you got any? Syrian occupation. Are you guys? What are you doing about the new crazy mob that has taken over Syria? Probably you're better off with these guys. At least they've seemed somewhat human, but they're terrorists too.
Right. It's like Israel's the only free country in the Middle East. That's like the crazy thing that Arabs that I've spoken to would prefer to live here than anywhere. They just can't say that publicly because they'll get killed wherever they are.
Sure.
But the reality is that it's the only place where women can drive and they have freedom, true freedom here. If you go to countries like Syria, which had a, so to speak, change in leadership, but the leaders were guys who were just a few months ago swearing allegiance to Al Qaeda, so like,
sure.
Can we take them seriously when they say they've moderated? Look, the proof is in the pudding. I guess we'll see what happens, but it couldn't be any worse than it was.
What percent of Israel is Arab?
Well, in the latest, around January 1st, they do, a census, the population of Israel now is 10 million, of which it's around 8 million Jews. So you have 2 million others. The others are mostly Arabs. There are other smaller groups, but mostly Arabs. And those are...
You're talking about 20% roughly?
Yeah, but we're not...
And a lot of them fight in the IDF with Israel.
You're right. They volunteer. They don't have to.
Yeah.
They don't have to, and they volunteer in the IDF. Israeli Arabs, they have full citizenship. They're Supreme Court justice as an Arab. Roughly 10% of our parliament, our Knesset, are Arabs. You know, Israel is a great place for Arabs. You know, if you're a Palestinian Arab and you want to live here in peace with Israel, you'll have all the freedoms you want.
That's amazing.
And we invite you to. But if you want to be a terrorist, and if you want to oppose us, and if you want to do everything to try to oust Israel from this region, then we're going to fight you with everything we have. But
now, I've been suggesting this thing for months now. What are you going to do about the schools that are still advocating mass killing of Jews from the river to the sea kind of things in the colleges? And they're, obviously the leaders are obviously being paid by Iran, places like that. Have you gone to Bibi and said, hey, this Weinbaum guy's got a pretty good idea?
No, I haven't. But if you watch what Trump did this week, Trump, has some good executive orders that we could get rid of these guys.
Yeah.
Trump's
Adamo, they got room now.
Right. I think what he's doing is just what any normal person should be doing. And
it's
I think
common sense.
Right, exactly. And it's crazy that when he comes in, he designates the Houthi as a terror group. Hello, why did Biden not do that? Why did he
let it go and get so many, not only Jews, but Arabs killed?
Right.
Why did he just say what's right?
He removed the designation. One of the first things he did when Biden became president, he removed the Houthis as a terror group. I mean, come on, seriously?
Yeah.
And Trump has come in there, and he's so far, in my opinion, making all the right moves.
Yeah,
and he's restoring. To him, his perception is that you want your allies to be strong, not weak and dependent. And he released the 2,000-pound bombs. He released 120 D9 bulldozers that Israel's been waiting for, and they're all on the way here now.
Right.
It's like you want your allies to be strong, or else they're going to become so dependent on you.
Yeah,
it's it's such common sense, and
you heard about the shield. Now they're going to be building, like the one that Reagan said Israel, and that was picked up by Israel, which helped with all the miracles that happened during this last war.
Yeah, the Iron Dome.
Iron Dome, that's right. Yeah, it's amazing.
I don't know what America's going to call it. Maybe they'll call it Blue Cross and Blue Shield or something like that. But they got to come up with some catchy name.
All right, that's pretty.
How about Red, White, and Blue Shield? There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Red, White, and Blue Shield, or the Trumpinator, or something.
The Dave Weinbaum Shield. I like that name. All right, any rabbi rants or scoops? My wife's over here moaning.
They should have a contest, like you win a $150 gift certificate to McDonald's if you come up with a good name for it.
Why McDonald's?
Well, I don't know. Why not?
Rabbi mentioned Trumpinator, and we've got him right here.
He's here.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. By the way, they're going to have an election today to see who is the leader of the Democratic Party. So if you can catch a flight or something right now, you could probably do it. You have dual citizenship, right?
Yeah, I do.
And you'd be a much better pick than anyone they got. You know what I said? You know, I said who to pick. I said pick Donald Trump. You'll get more votes with him than anyone else. All right, it's I hear something. Any rabbi rants or scoops?
Nope.
Okay. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find your book and contribute?
They can, if they want to get my book, go to secretsofthehebrewbible.org, get yourself a copy, or you can go to israelalliance.org or our Facebook page, facebook.com/. Digital Alliance. We'd love to hear from you.
Lisa, I need to go to the recycling center. Me, I think you're okay the way you are. I didn't understand it. All right, lady, and that's absolutely the true story, isn't it? She's got to admit it. That is word for word what I said. All right. Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat shalom. How are you and eating the kids? Okay.
You got it. All the best, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, Rabbi Moshe Rother. Give him another applause. Okay, great. All right, we're in good shape now, and coming up next, we got JJ. We got let's see, we've got we've done the rabbi, so that's out of the way. I hate to put it in those terms, but we've got we have Chris Adamo. We've got Anders W. Edwardsson, and it took me a while to understand that, but he's got a great book out. And I guess do you have a copy of the book or a picture of the book?
We don't have a copy. I will whenever he's on. I do have a link to where you can find it. I'll put that in the comments. People can go and buy it.
I've been looking over some of it. He highlights there's about 5 or 6 different points he wants to make in that book, and an excellent history on basically the United States and up. He's a Swedish American citizen. He got his American citizenship back in 2016, and he's a newbie on the show. He found out last week how to contact me, or maybe 2 weeks ago, and I had an opening. So I said, well, let's go with Anders here and see what he's got. And I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
It was interesting talking with him to get the information about his book and his website so we could display that properly and just make sure we had everything connected for today. And he lives in Florida now, and you can tell he really tries hard to speak clear English, but every once in a while that accent would slip in, and I started losing. I'm like, excuse me, what? Oh yeah, sorry. And he has to kind of focus. So keep that in mind.
Well,
but,
he's a PhD.
It's a cool accent though too.
He is a PhD, so you can tell he's not a dummy.
No.
And I mean, this is great. This is how you find people who are really good. And I've got some good people. While we're waiting for JJ, and we're going to do some commercials, my son opened up a Tic Tac. Tic Tac for me.
That's a candy, honey.
Or Tic Tac. Well, see, this is how much I know about it. Tic Tac. And all of a sudden, he's putting these shorts into TikTok. Now, TikTok is for young guys. Supposedly, it's a Chinese asset, and Trump says he got a lot of votes off of TikTok, and all of a sudden, J.J. Bradshaw is a freaking star. He's got 27,000 likes on TikTok from being on this show. Chris Adamo is a huge star because of this. The McCluskeys are huge stars because of this. Even JP over here has had moments, as has my wife, who is laughing in condensation of it. You can't believe it. So I can't even figure out how to do most of the stuff with TikTok. I've got to have some education about it. But it appears we've made a dent in the young people of the world and America. So with that, let me just say, if you want to call the show, 573-578-2700, or
you can also reach us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Rumble.
All right, let's do our commercials. We'll be back in about 5 with J.J. Bradshaw.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Honey, what are you doing? What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333.
Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have. Gotta reach 'em, see it right now. Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
At Town & Country Bank, we've got all the perks of a national bank, like online banking, quick loan approval, and you can deposit your check from your phone. But that's not why our customers love us. They love us because we still offer hometown customer service. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly team remind you how special hometown banking can be. We're locally owned and will take the time to understand your needs. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, big tree time. We've got a man who's more famous than he'll ever know. And I'll explain that to him later. But he's looking at you right now. He is 256 years old. He is the witness to our great country, hanging out with the sorts of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Franklin, and just he knows everything that goes back and forth in this country. I'd like you to welcome him. He is an expert on the Constitution. Please welcome all the way from Rolla, Missouri, John Jeffrey Bradshaw. Good morning. How are you today?
You know, I'm pretty good. Dave, I mentioned to you last week that you and I were drowning in data.
Let me just start with this. I said this to the group here, but my son got me on TikTok. Yeah. And he put a bunch of shorts in there from the show. You are in there prevalently. Do you know how many people actually not just commented but liked your 30-second spot on my show?
27,000.
Oh, okay. You know about that. How'd you know about that?
Well, I was listening to your show, Dave. How could I possibly miss that?
Oh, I love it when my you could have acted surprised. I don't know. My feelings are a little hurt, but go ahead. What were you going to say?
When you were speaking with the rabbi, you briefly mentioned Guantanamo Bay, and
Yes.
That was the first thing I wanted to talk about today.
Okay, how about that?
Gitmo is a naval base that is on the island of Cuba. It's a little bitty patch. And Guantanamo Bay was leased from Raul Batista back in the 1950s when he was the dictator of Cuba. And the lease was rather interesting. It's perpetual. As long as we pay the rent, we can have a base there. Well, when Fidel Castro took over, he made a lot of noise about kicking us out of there, but he hasn't managed to get it done. So Gitmo, as it's known in the military, has been a detainee place for the worst of the terrorists. At one time, there were about 15,000 terrorists there. Our buddy Joe Biden released a whole lot of them, where to I couldn't begin to say, but we're down to about 15 of the worst terrorists who will never see daylight again. And now it's so interesting to me that Trump's going to open that thing up. They got about 30,000 beds there and use that as an interim holding facility for illegal aliens. It's convenient. It's close to Mexico, and it's off United States soil. It's a very good idea. And I'm glad to see that happen. This is a good use for Gitmo.
30,000.
Now I really wish that I knew where Biden sent all the terrorists that he released.
Well, I think they got a handle on a lot of them. If you're looking at the results that Tom Homan is getting as the new czar compared to Kamala, he knows where he's going, and Mexico has emptied itself. Used to have these fields, is like 5 football fields worth of people waiting to go over the next day, and now they got nothing there. And it's amazing. In fact, play a couple of the next clips because it's got Abbott on them. Hit it.
One, they're trying to go after those who are public safety threats, who are criminals, as well as national security threats. Remember, under Joe Biden, they allowed into the United States people who were on the terrorist watch list. And the Trump administration is seeking out and trying to find them and deport them. And then the other that they're sending back is that, listen, those people who think they can cross the border and stay here in the country illegally now, those days are gone. So if anybody apprehended coming across the border is going to be sent back immediately.
Texas is now a partner to the federal government as opposed to being an enemy, which certainly is what it looked like under the Biden team. But let me get your take on this 300,000 children that were lost under the Biden-Harris administration. Fox News reported this week, Harris Faulkner reported that the Trump team has now located some of those children.
So listen, it's almost criminal what Joe Biden did, allowing all these children to come in and then losing them, putting those children at risk. Who knows how many of those children were child sex trafficked or harmed in some other way. And you got to hand it to the Trump administration for quickly locating them, identifying them, and work to ensure that their safety. And here again, it's a night and day difference between the Trump administration and the Biden administration. We now have a commander-in-chief in office who's going to ensure the safety of people in the country, whether it be these young kids who are trafficked into our country, or everyday Americans and communities that are having to deal with the consequences of Joe Biden's open border policies.
What about those Venezuelan gangs, Tren de Aragua, that was causing such havoc? Do you believe, Governor, that we will see a change in crime? The attacks that we're seeing across the country in places like big cities like New York. Do you believe in the coming months that will move the needle as a result of what you all are doing in Texas?
So it's actually already begun. So what we did in Texas, I signed a law and then implemented the law declaring Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization. And for the past year, Texas has been working with federal, state, and local authorities to arrest and jail Tren de Aragua members here in the state of Texas. What Trump will do is apply that same strategy. He's already either done it or said he's going to do it, declare Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization under the federal law, which is even more powerful. And what Trump wants to do is to go after organizations like that, which is the largest, most deadly and consequential foreign terrorist organization, and make sure that we put them out of business. And the way we put them out of business is to put them behind bars.
Okay, JJ, your thoughts?
Well, Greg Abbott is, I'm a fan of his. And if you recall, during the Biden regime, Texas and the federal government were at war with each other over the border crossings there. Abbott was the guy that put the floats out in the middle of the Rio Grande to prevent people from coming across. Talk about a turnaround. Now he is an ally of the federal government. I think Donald Trump likes him, and so do I.
He loves him.
And, you know, Abbott's the guy that took the National Guard, which is, of course, under the purview of the governor of a state, and said, let's put those troops down there and do something about keeping folks from coming across. Well, now, as you mentioned, there's not an awful lot of people waiting to come across because they know they're going to be kicked right back out again. And I think Abbott had a lot to do with that. And of course, Donald J. Trump has as well. So kudos to both of them. It's about time that we stop this bleeding at our southern border. And we've got some bleeding at the northern border, too. Nobody ever talks about it. There are folks that fly into Canada and sneak across.
So what are you thinking about these Dems who are in these sanctuary states and cities who are saying, we're not going to let them do that. We're not going to. What do you think of that?
You know, Tom Homan I'm a fan of his as well. And he's a no-nonsense law and order sort of guy. And what he has said repeatedly in interviews on television and podcasts is that, you know, you want to stand in our way, fine, we'll scoot you out of the way. If you do something illegal to protect these folks, we're going to arrest you. You can't get much clearer than that, Dave. So the sanctuary city folks, they got a big problem. You know, the federal government was pouring money into sanctuary cities to support the illegals that were coming in there because most of these cities can't afford to do that on their own.
Whose money was that, by the way?
Well, that was Joe Biden and his buddies, but
where do you think he got the money from?
Alejandro Mayorkas was the guy that spearheaded that stuff.
Trying to make a point that was taxpayer money.
It is taxpayer money. And, that's a very nice segue right into my next topic.
Oh,
you
good.
must be psychic, Dave, or perhaps
I'm
psychotic.
psycho. My wife says I'm psycho.
You might be.
I might
Kristi Noem, another person who I admire greatly, has, after a couple of days in office, stopped grant funding to non-government organizations, the NGOs, that were facilitating illegals. And I got a list of those things off the internet the other day, and it's surprising. Let's see, Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services, $93.1 million of your tax money was given to them in 2021 to facilitate illegals coming over. New York City Catholic Charity Services got over $85 million in 2 months to support these folks. Well, Kristi Noem came into office and said, nope, turn that spigot off, and it has been turned off. And those non-government organizations are howling because they've got no income and they're stuck with all these illegals that they've been trying to support. Can you imagine being put up in one of New York's finest hotels as an illegal from Guatemala, somebody who came from a place with no running water? It makes me wonder how bad those hotel rooms look after those people get yanked out of there. I bet it's like a third world country. So
I
was
planning a vacation to Mexico with my wife, and we were going to come over the border and extend the vacation to some of the top hotels in the country.
Yeah, and you get free airline service. You get a debit card. I mean, this is a pretty good deal if you happen to be an illegal crossing into our country.
Wow.
All of that has dried up, Dave, and it's dried up within 2 weeks. You finally got somebody with some leadership skills in the White House that said, no mas, we're not doing this anymore. And good, that needed to happen.
Yes.
What this does, though, is make Biden's government look like such an inept, unorganized sham, which is, of course, what it was.
Yeah.
Now, Trump, another interesting thing, he's got over 300 executive orders on the books right now. And one of those was very interesting. Number one, they said federal employees, you either come back to work in your office or wherever your workplace is, or quit. So show up or quit. Of course, the idea there was to drop the numbers in the federal workforce, and I think it's working. Another thing he did, he said, okay, we're going to buy some of you folks out.
Yep.
Never seen this done in the federal government, but we will pay you through September if you will resign today and give you a chance at finding a job someplace else. A lot of these folks are government employees that would not otherwise be employable. Some of these folks are serious freaks. And the government was probably relieved to not have them coming in person to work. So Donald J. Trump, my hat's off to that. You've actually done a good thing as far as shrinking the federal government without a lot of hoopla.
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch RFK's confirmation hearing?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you think?
I didn't. No, I caught the part. I didn't get the second day because they were talking about the plane crash, which might be another subject for us. But I thought he did well. I think one of the doctors in there, who was a Republican, gave a little bit of a snipping, saying, "Well, you're never going to believe in anything," and I think the doctor is wrong. The doctor is wrong. RFK is correct. I know what happened back in 2021. I followed the reports from the CDS that said this thing is a nightmare, an unproven nightmare. I'm not stupid. I got rid of my doctor in 21. And so this is the line that RFK was talking about. And this guy was either inept, I think his name was Cassidy, inept or lying about it, because he can't be that stupid.
He's probably lying. I don't doubt that a bit. The part that was most entertaining, Dave, was the part of it where Elizabeth Warren was attempting to lambaste him and abuse him. And frankly, she came off looking like a fool, which she is a fool. Yeah. But it really pleased me greatly. It's not that RFK had a bunch of great comebacks for her. He didn't. I mean, he did okay.
What did you see what he said to Bernie? Did you see what he said to Bernie yesterday?
Oh, Bernie. That place, that guy's a lunatic.
He says, I find it interesting that you're telling me that I should not sue the drug companies like Pfizer, and you, sir, have been giving them over millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Okay, he said, you can't say that about me, and he says, I just said it. And, oh man, that was great. I expect next time that Sanders and Warren and all those other people that are contributing to these drug companies be wearing a lab coat and a white thing with the name of the company on it.
That would be appropriate. They are bought and paid for by Big Pharma.
And it's killing millions of people.
Well, it certainly hasn't done them a lot of good. I think the COVID vaccine historically is going to go down as one of the biggest mistakes ever made.
Oh, I don't think it's such a mistake. It's a way of government controlling everybody.
Since Donald Trump took the White House and the House and the Senate, the DNC has been in a shambles. They have been so uncoordinated. It's plain old chaos. And even James Carville, who of course is an outspoken, he's a nut job, but he's a very outspoken guy. The DNC is trying to find a new chairman.
I know.
And the guy that's mostly in the running right now is a guy called Ben Winkler. He's a white guy. The DNC is actually going to elect a white guy. This is not going to be black, homosexual, Hispanic, LBGTQRSTUEDI guy. No, he's a white guy. Have you guys actually seen the light, or are you just experiencing chaos?
Did you listen to my monologue at all?
Of course.
Well, you know who I said they ought to put in there?
Yeah.
Other than Fetterman, I said they ought to make Donald Trump in charge of the Democratic Party to give them time to reorganize themselves. They are in a shambles. They don't know what they stand for. And every time they question people like Kash Patel and Robert F. Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard, they are losing popularity every single day. And they don't get it. They don't get it.
It's so interesting to me. What makes it so entertaining is that every time one of these Democrat losers interviews one of these folks and then starts yelling and screaming and talking over them, they come off looking worse and worse and worse, like some third-rate operation, which in fact is what they are. So good. And this is televised to the world. Glad to see it happening. It shows the weakness of the Democrat Party.
The weakness and the fear. Don't forget about the fear factor, because plenty of these guys are going to be up and they're going to be investigated by Bondi and by Kash Patel and whoever else is in that position. Even
Speaking of Kash Patel, if my name was Robert Mueller or James Comey or Andrew McCabe or Christopher Wray or Rob Rosenstein or Carter Page or George Papadopoulos, I think I would be trying to find a hidey hole someplace, because Kash Patel is going to start lifting up skirts and looking around to try to see who was culpable for some of these awful things that happened. And he as much as said he was going to do it during his confirmation hearing. I will pursue the rule of law. I will follow the Constitution. Well, Kash, that's all any of us ask you to do.
And that's all he basically.
We don't want a bunch of other garbage. Just follow the law. And those who are criminals.
Remember when Schiff was out there yelling at him, turn around and look at the police. Turn around. And he says, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to look at you. That was good. I loved it. He says, 300,000 police have said they're in favor of me being the director of the FBI. I don't have to look around. I know they support me.
Yeah. It's funny. Police tend to be law and order sort of people. And when they have leadership that are law and order sort of people, they follow right up to it. Of course, amazing. I would too. It's just an amazement to me. As far as reducing the size of government, Joni Ernst, who I have a great amount of respect for, she's Republican from Iowa, has some purview of the Small Business Administration. And yours is not a small business, it's a mega corporation.
No.
But for those of us who actually had small businesses, the SBA
I am a small businessman. I am a small businessman. I happen to be a franchisee of one of these.
Maybe we ought to measure your ways and see how small you are. It's okay. Joni Ernst says, Small Business Administration, you have become so non-responsive for small business people, and you have added so much red tape that it's practically impossible to get anything done through your organization. Here's what I plan on doing. Let's take about a third of you and move you out to the hinterland where the small businesses actually are. And maybe another third of you about a year from now, and decentralize this out of the Beltway. Good job. Great thinking.
Absolutely.
Put the organization where the businesses are. Great idea.
I heard at one point they were considering putting the FBI main headquarters in Omaha.
Yeah, isn't that great? This is a Republican government rubbing their noses in it, and believe me, they need their noses rubbed in it. We had 8 years of Barack Obama, which was just dismal, and then we had poor Lunch Bucket Joe, who can't find the restroom 9 times out of 10. We have been run by the inept and the corrupt for way, way too long, and the bureaucracies have thrived during that. And I do believe it's time to put them in their place. It's time to reduce their size, make them lean and mean as they ought to have been. And as long as we're talking about lean and mean, it looks like FEMA has taken a spanking, which they certainly deserve, over North Carolina, Western North Carolina, Virginia, Florida, the places where disasters have happened. And if we look out at Los Angeles, the FEMA presence was there. So if you happen to be a West Coast elite, you get government. If you happen to live out in the hinterlands and are living in a tent with no roads, not so much. FEMA doesn't help you much.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see that turn around. One of the folks in government said we ought to just eliminate it completely and give the block grants to the states and let them run it. Frankly, I think things run by the states are much more efficient than what the feds do.
Well, sure.
I would support that.
Sure.
But I think we're going to see that the FEMA response is going to improve greatly in Western North Carolina. It's a damn shame it took as long as it did.
You got it. And what else you got, my friend?
I got a parting shot for you here.
Okay.
Senator Mike Lee, another guy that I like, has introduced the ACE Act, Achieving Choice in Education. Now, this government has kicked around school choice and vouchers for decades. I've been hearing about this stuff for literally decades, and nothing has happened. What we have is failing schools that don't teach much. They're turned into indoctrination centers under the Biden administration. And the ACE Act has some, sorry about that. The ACE Act has some teeth to it. What Mike Lee did was take failing schools' percentages, in particular, 2024, 39% of fourth grade students were proficient in math. That means the rest are deficient. Right. Eighth graders, only 28%. We fare so badly in the Western world, and let's not even talk about Asia, as far as schools scores are concerned. Why? because we poured a bunch of money in schools for indoctrination, and we haven't bothered to teach discipline. We haven't bothered to teach social studies, mathematics, science, the things that might actually give you a job. Instead, we've taught garbage, and a lot of folks don't even show up for school. Mike Lee is going to change that and out of committee. There will be a voucher program where you're given X number of dollars a year and put your kid in whatever school you want.
That'd
It could be a religious school, be a public school, a private school, whatever. As long as we're spending all this money, let's put it in some places that actually show some results.
Well,
Dave, that was my parting shot. It has been my pleasure talking
all right,
with you.
let me read some of the comments here, because I think you're in some of these. Let's see, what do we got? Oh, it's terrible. Rick Camino, good morning. Good morning, Rick, and to your friend Henderson up there. Roy Maddox, good morning from Oklahoma. You know him, right?
I do.
Yes, and John Jeffrey Bradshaw. Who the hell is that? Oh, great interview with Rabbi Moshe. Thank you. We're listening, and thank you. Kathy Sanford Dillon, good morning, and happy Friday. Have a blessed weekend, my wife says.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Good to hear from you.
She invented she invented Friday. Do you believe that? I think she makes something off of that. I don't make a cent. Anyways, that's it. And thank you so much, JJ. And we'll be talking to you hopefully next week.
You can count on it, Dave. It has been my pleasure. Good day.
Let's hear it. Star of Tic Tac and the Dave Weinbaum Show, JJ Bradshaw. Okay. Wow, I got to take another one of these little things. I'll tell you what. When you get older, is it just me, or I haven't needed? Some days you go without needing these things, and other days, especially if you're doing a radio show, you got to have your voice, don't you?
What is that? A Tic Tac?
No, it's a. It's some schmucks. It's for me. It's my own special brand, some schmucks. Shannon Reed, good morning on that level with a smile. Hi, smiling at you, Shannon. Okay. If you want to contact the show, 573-578-2700, or
you can also comment on Facebook, X. I kept trying to call it Twitter, so I want to make sure I get it right. Facebook, X, YouTube, and also on Rumble.
You guys been laughing at me, not with me, and that kind of pisses me off. So I want to play tequila for you. All right, let's keep going with that.
Tequila can help ease you out of your shyness and let you tell the world that you're ready and willing to do just about anything. You'll notice the benefits of tequila almost immediately. And with a regimen of regular doses, you can overcome any obstacles that prevent you from living the life you want to live. Shyness and awkwardness will be a thing of the past, and you'll discover many talents you never knew you had. Stop hiding and start living with tequila. Tequila may not be right for everyone. Women who are pregnant or nursing should not use tequila. However, women who wouldn't mind nursing or becoming pregnant are encouraged to try it. Side effects may include dizziness, nausea, vomiting, incarceration, erotic lustfulness, loss of motor control, loss of clothing, loss of money, loss of virginity, delusions of grandeur, table dancing, headache, dehydration, dry mouth, and a desire to sing karaoke and play all-night rounds of strip poker, truth or dare, and naked twister. Warning, the consumption of alcohol may make you think you're whispering when you're not. Is a major factor in dancing like a retard. May cause you to tell your friends over and over again that you're in love with them. Also may cause you to think you can sing. Alcohol may lead you to believe that ex-lovers are really dying for you to telephone them at 4 in the morning. Alcohol may make you think you can logically converse with members of the opposite sex without spitting. It may create the illusion that you are tougher, smarter, faster, and better looking than most people. And it may lead you to think people are laughing with you. Alcohol may cause pregnancy. And it also may be a major factor in getting your ass kicked. So what are you waiting for? Stop hiding and start living with tequila.
Tequila! I wonder if they, if people go so crazy over this, if some of those Guantanamo jail cells would be appropriate for them. If they go that crazy with tequila. The only joke I got about tequila is 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, floor. Okay?
And after that, I'm on the floor. So there you go.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And that's not even my joke. It's an old joke. It's an old joke, but I'm an old joker.
Yeah, we can take credit for it. Why not?
I'm not taking credit for it. No, I try to take credit for everything that is mine, and let the other ones figure out which ones I'm stealing. Oh. So there you go. Let's see. Okay, I have stuff every week that I go to, and this is like the line drive. I'm going to call this section the line drive. Okay, because there's Patricia Oden Maxwell. She is the official mother to J.P. Maxwell, and also the official pastor to the Dave Weinbaum Show. Good morning, sounding good, looking good, good team. Thank you, Pastor Pat. So Trump's, you got to admit, Trump's start was at warp speed. I mean, he is like taking the breath away from people. And we got that clip of they're complaining. How dare you? Do you know what eggs are? What's the matter with you, Donald Trump? What's the matter with you, you lousy SOB? These are from senators and congresswomen and men, and this is what we found as a response.
Now, give me just a second.
I
want to stop.
Go back to the beginning.
I want to go back to the beginning.
Yes,
and,
let's do
and
that.
Take a second here and share the screen because
51 spies who lied about the Hunter Biden laptop have been declassified, and possibly. I don't know if they were all pardoned or not, but there's ways of getting around this pardoning thing. First of all, you can still make them testify. They cannot take the Fifth Amendment. That means they are subject to laws that if you are found lying under oath, you can be still indicted and convicted of felonies. All right, let's hear from this gal.
Thanks, Caroline. Just real quick, you mentioned the inflation executive order the president signed, but egg prices have skyrocketed since President Trump took office. So what specifically is he doing to lower those costs for Americans?
Really glad you brought this up, because there is a lot of reporting out there that is putting the onus on this White House for the increased cost of eggs. I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country. We also have seen the cost of everything, not just eggs. Bacon, groceries, gasoline have increased because of the inflationary policies of the last administration. As far as the egg shortage, what's also contributing to that is that the Biden administration in the Department of Agriculture directed the mass killing of more than 100 million chickens, which has led to a lack of chicken supply in this country, therefore a lack of egg supply, which is leading to the shortage.
There you go. Answers from our new gal who is talking to the journalists. And what is her name again? Do we know?
She's the new press secretary, and I just cannot remember her name.
Send me the name of this gal. Okay. Now, Pompeo, the former CIA head and the former Secretary of State to Donald Trump. Yes, her name is Caroline Leavitt, and she's 24 years old. Or 27 years old, yep. The youngest to ever do this. I don't know, but she seems to know all of the names of the journalists without having any help, and she doesn't have a lot of notes or anything. This is pretty interesting. She's pretty sharp. Anyway, going to what I was talking about, Pompeo, he advised Trump. Trump has said he has signed a bill that not a bill, but a executive order to find out what happened to John F. Kennedy, to Robert F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. And he said, I talked to Mike Pompeo when he was head of the CIA, and he begged him not to do anything about it, not to say anything. And then back then, I went along with it because, he was telling me it would hurt the country. And now I'm saying we need to find out what actually happened, and we need to know what happened, good, bad, or ugly, about what our country has done. Obviously, there were there was a government CIA agent and a friend to the agents, and a friend to the CIA was Harvey Oswald. He was part of the CIA, and the guy who killed him, Jack Ruby, was deep into the mob, and the mob had a lot to do with it too. They hated the Kennedys, and especially Robert Kennedy, which is kind of interesting. And we have links. We have that here. I believe. What are the? 12. Put 12 on. Go to 12 and 13.
Michael, you said if you believe Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, then you believe in Santa Claus. One of the big theories, of course, is that both the Kennedy brothers were, thick as thieves with a lot of the mob, and that this was not a connection that should be ruled out. Explain why you think this might be one of the theories, and it may be we get more information about that if these files get released.
Well, Pierce, I can only tell you what I've heard my entire life, and that was from the time Kennedy got killed. People in the mob hated Kennedys, and normally guys in the mob don't want to take credit for things like this. They'd rather not talk about it. People like Carmine Persico, who was the boss of the Colombo family, Tony Salerno, boss of the Genovese family, and my father, who was very high up at the time. It goes back, I was 12 years old when Kennedy got killed, and I just remember my father saying things to my mother, "Don't feel bad about these guys were rats, they double-crossed us," and so on and so forth. Cut to the time that I was in the life, and I heard consistently from Persico, from Tony, from my father, that what I believe it came down is that the CIA had come to, they said the CIA, people in government who were part of this assassination plot with the Kennedys, came to us afterwards and asked that Oswald be killed. Jack Ruby, I don't know why people deny that he wasn't mobbed up. He was totally mobbed up. From the time he was in Chicago, he had relationships with Sam Giancana. He had relationships with Joe Campisi, who was really the boss of Dallas, who was very close with Carlos Marcello in New Orleans. And he also had cops on his payroll.
Okay, so now you've got the implication of the mob, which we all kind of knew. Jack Ruby, who didn't know that he was part of the mob, really? How did he get so close to Oswald? I mean, he's in custody. They're walking him from one jail cell to another, it seems like, and a guy comes up with a gun and shoots him right in the stomach. Okay, and that's Ruby. And it didn't seem like anybody gave a damn or anybody was going to protect him or anyone else in that room. It seems like they were satisfied with with what happened, because nobody, I don't even know if the cops actually showed any of their guns. It was sort of like a practice thing. So
if I remember right from the clip that I've seen over the years, after Jack Ruby walks up, as you said, point blank, shoots Oswald goes down. Then they basically just tackle Ruby instead of taking guns out and shooting him on the spot.
Yeah.
Which kind of suspect as is. And then Ruby, they put him in jail, and then he dies in prison shortly after.
Right.
So he can't talk. So it's...
he was in the hospital. He got sick and died.
Look at this whole thing.
I don't know whether he was killed or not. That's another speculation.
It's crazy how just the sequence of events, this is just like anybody who goes up against the Clinton Foundation and suddenly show up dead from suicide or natural causes, just like Epstein in prison. I mean, come on, give me
this is good. Donald Trump, he's a wanted man because he is destroying piece by piece the swamp. He is draining that swamp, and they've already tried to kill him a couple times, in my opinion. And who knows what they're going to do? But they know they're getting a little scared because he's making a lot of progress, and now he's opened the door to previous sins that our government agencies have done to this country. Play 14 and 15, please.
These people don't brag about things like this. They're talking matter of factly. You know, the fact that allegedly, what I was told, they had a deal with Joe Kennedy, who I know was definitely in touch with and had relationships with Frank Costello during his bootlegging days. There's no question about that. People can deny it, they can, but I've heard that my entire life too. And that guys in Chicago were instrumental in helping many of the labor unions, you know, vote for the Democrats. Now, Chicago's a mob-run city. You know, it always was, you know, from the days of Capone on forward. And the mob played a part in helping deliver. And that was a very tight election between Kennedy and Nixon. And the deal was that the heat was supposed to be off. Robert Kennedy, who my father hated, my father believes Robert Kennedy was the one that really pursued him, put him away for 50 years, that the Justice Department was supposed to back off us. And instead, they went on even harder. And so if I had to take a lie detector and swear to it, what I've heard my entire life from people in the know, it was definitely mob involvement in that. Jack Ruby was definitely hooked up with us. And look, that wasn't the first time the CIA came to us. I mean, they did it, you know, they tried to assassinate, what's his name? Castro from Cuba. They went to Johnny Rosella and Sam Giancana. And what about, you know, during World War II, when they went to Lucky Luciano and Meyer Lansky for help to get the Allies into Sicily? So is it, you know, I don't believe that the United States government ever wants to get word out there that the mob had anything to do with assassinating a sitting president.
Yeah. This is going to be huge, okay? Because you know, when we were growing up, I mean, I was, how old was I? I was about 14 when Kennedy was shot. I think I was in high school. What? What's so funny?
Nothing, go ahead.
What?
Nothing, go ahead.
What are you giggling about? Is this something you're doing with your phone?
No.
Okay.
I'm focusing on you.
All right. Well, she likes to kid me because.
And how old was I when I was growing up?
How old was I when I was growing up? Okay, fine. So that you caught me again in a faux pas. People understand this. Now there. That's you're crossing the line, lady. And just for that, I think we're going to stop this and do the nuts.
Oh,
hit it.
Lordy.
Oh, that tickles. Stop it. No. All right, let's do basketball. I lost my nuts.
I just
damn. We gotta go straight to the basketball now. I think my nuts just dropped off. Oh man, that hurt. Yeah, see that's what she does, and then I have to do that, and I've lost my mojo here, so to speak. But who is Joe Kennedy? Does anyone here remember Joe Kennedy? He was the father that was in the mafia. He was right in with him.
He was a bootlegger.
He
was
a bootlegger.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
So they all knew him, and he was the one that apparently helped out both Kennedy defeat Nixon back in 1960. Was it? Yes. And then his brother Robert Kennedy, the father of Jr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He is known to have gone after the people in the mob with vengeance. I think he was the DOJ head. Is that correct? The DOJ head of the DOJ, and he was.
Well, I remember Hoover was head of the FBI at that time, I believe.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure he was still the FBI guy, but he might have been.
I think he was.
But they were going after these mob guys left and right. They dropped one guy from Louisiana. They dropped him in the middle of the desert. All right, they dropped him in the middle of Mexico, and he had to walk his way back. So they were pissed at Robert Kennedy a lot more than Jack, but still, or John Kennedy, but still that animosity was there. And, to let people know that they cooperated with any of this, along with one of our agencies to kill an American president, is going to be possibly received a lot with a lot less scandal than it was in the first place, but I believe it's going to be significant that we now will know what really happened and why the hell shouldn't we? All right. Okay. Here's something from Arthur Clarke. I don't know. Can I read that here? Let's see. Question: why does the assassination murder of President John F. Kennedy still matter? Answer: it matters because the assassination of President Kennedy was not only a conspiracy, but a coup d'etat. The powers behind the assassination took control over the government and orchestrated the cover-up. It matters because the government is still lying about the Kennedy assassination. It essentially means that the powers that killed John F. Kennedy are still in charge to this very day. Let that sin. I don't know if he has.
I think it was supposed to be let that sink in. I believe
sink in. Okay.
If it's too long, then it will cut off.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
no, I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
And don't forget that JFK, once he was elected president, made a statement and said, there is a political machine that is run in D.C.
Sure.
that is against the common man, and I'm going to expose this.
Yes.
Well, and then it was, a year later?
Yeah.
And he's dead. So
yeah.
I believe that both probably the mob and the government had incentive to make sure JFK was gone another way.
They were co-workers. And I can see the mob going to try to get rid of Hitler, maybe even, obviously, Cuba. If you've seen The Godfather, you know the mob was interested in Cuba because of all the closeness to the United States. I don't even know why we had a war with Cuba in 1898. Why didn't we take over then? Why didn't we take over that thing? It was already a terrible place to be. I don't know if it was an island all of itself, but I think Trump's got the right idea with the Panama Canal, with Canada, and with Greenland. Tell me what's wrong with that, as long as he does it legally.
I don't have a problem with it.
It sounds like a big addition and lack of. It seems like it's going to be a great idea to have, let's say, Greenland, because they are very close to Russia and to the North Pole, to Canada, and to basically the United States. They're the perfect spot that you want to be in, and the perfect kickoff spot for an attack by Russia. All right, and on the Panama Canal, they say it's being run by the Chinese. True or not? That's what we suspect, and they're making a fortune down there. Jimmy Carter sold it for $1. I mean, give me a break. But he sold it to the government of Panama, who has done pretty much turned it over to the Chinese to run and to make a fortune off of us. We send our Navy back and forth over the Panama Canal. They could shut us down. They could shut us down. How many of these illegal immigrants are Chinese? How many of them are also military age? Have you asked yourself that? And a lot of them are just being delivered. They found 12 in a bus. They were all males, and they were all of military age. And they showed them. This is one of the recent raids we had here in this country. So, okay, well, I've changed my. You know what? I'm going to after that little tyrant talk. Let's have a little gasser from the past. How about? Oh, I know who. How about what's his name? Damn it. Okay, let's say, how about not Reagan, but who's the other guy? Carlin. Yeah, how about Carlin? Let's do Carlin.
Did you ever try to tell somebody they have a little bit of dirt on their face? You can never get them to rub the right spot, can you? Say, you got a little bit of dirt right here. They always go, where? Here? and you just want to slap the bastard.
Okay, and that leads us right into our next guest, who was there chomping on some pizza, I think. Probably.
Drinking coffee.
Old pizza. Old pizza. We're going to talk about a little of that stuff. My next guest is a proud Sicilian who loves his Wyoming pizza. Shocked when he saw my wife Lisa's wonderful meal of Italian noodles.
Oh,
Italian noodles straight from Italy.
It looked good.
Meatballs, tomato sauce, onions, mushrooms cooked for hours. Please welcome the other Sicilian in this room, Chris Adamo. And by the way, he is also an author, and he's a very smart guy.
Well, thank you.
Say that. All right. And by the way, do you know you're a big star on TikTok?
I'm a big star on TikTok? Now that I didn't know.
My son got me on TikTok. What did I call it before? Tic Tac. He called it Tic Tac. And I didn't know I made that faux pas. They had to tell me afterwards. They were both laughing their asses off.
Well, I need to find out about this now, but priorities are priorities now. Lisa, that meal looked absolutely delicious.
Oh, and it was.
Thank you.
We went
So-
3
I have
times.
an
We ate it.
Italian friend that
Whenever Dave gets around to inviting me over to your place, then that's what I'd love.
Well, come on down. Come on down. We got room for you. Bring your wife.
Absolutely, it'd be great.
Yeah, but leave Cheney home, will you? I know you got a thing for her too. So.
No. See, we're doing
No,
really good
no,
this morning, and now you got to throw that in there.
Hey, forget about it. I'm not telling anybody.
You sound like those Senate Democrats, which we're going to talk about hopefully here on the hearings panels for the Trump nominees. You all of a sudden delve off into that now. You were doing really good. So tell me about TikTok.
Go ahead. Get yourself in trouble again. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Tell me about TikTok.
What do you want to talk about? No, TikTok. See, now you want to know because it had your name on it.
Yes,
And
obviously.
it's good. And it's like thousands of people are watching you that you had no idea were watching you. And show them that book there, Rules for Defeating Radicals, for God's sakes. Put that thing up there.
All of you TikTokers, if you're watching, this is what conservative America needs. This is how we can see that something really nasty is going on the left. And what I do is I go into what they're really up to, what their manipulations are, how we've stepped in their manipulations too many times in the past and empowered them with that. So how we avoid that, and now we take the fight to their front and how we can win.
Okay, that's you're getting huge amounts of people. Thousands of people are looking at you. Sorry, but they are. And I can't explain it. I mean, they're doing it with me too, but I mean, you're a little behind JJ. JJ had 27,000 people look at one of his clips, a 30-second clip. They're short clips, but you ought to look at it on the Dave Weinbaum show. I'm still trying to figure out how to negotiate TikTok.
Yeah, I haven't even gotten on there, so maybe I should. But
they're young. This is what Donald Trump said. It's because he's got a son who's like 19 years old and 6'9". And Dad, you got to go on TikTok, and he started, and he did. And he got huge upward votes in the young people.
Well, that's good, especially the young people, but particularly since we've seen such an effort in the last couple of decades to totally corrupt the young people.
That's right.
And sadly, a lot of that's been successful. A lot of them, they have no idea about what the history of our nation is. We're just a bunch of racists, and we're out to destroy the planet, and blah blah blah. And you say, well, okay, do you know what 5 and 5 is? Well, no, it might have an answer, but that's your opinion, and it's like, they really wrecked.
It depends on how many of them are worthy of DEI.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so tell us about the Senate hearings.
Okay. Oh gosh. First of all, We've talked about this in the past. Everything the left touches, I think Trump said, I'm not going to use the word, but he said everything they touch, they turn to crap. Okay, my paraphrase. All right, and the point being that nothing that we're seeing these days from these people, nothing is about actually making life better for Americans. Nothing is about actually doing the right thing. It's all a matter of grandstanding, telling any lie you have to in order to advance their agenda, which is their agenda is all about one thing, and it's amassing uncontested power. This is who they are. This is how they always operate. So these Senate hearings in the olden days, back before we had internet, back before we had any kind of electronic information, the idea was that the president would bring a nominee in there. They knew nothing about him or very little about him. They might have read something about him in Poor Richard's Almanac, but that's about it. So they'd bring him in there and they'd say, okay, who are you and what do you stand for? And it was a matter of sincere interest, finding out who this person is. Is he qualified? What's he going to do? Fine. Okay. Now, obviously, in this information age, we don't need to do that anymore. And these Democrats, and they're shameless and disgusting about it. These Democrats, they're not out for information. They take these opportunities where they're supposed to ask a question. They preface it for 5 minutes with grandstanding speeches, accusations, and political posturing. Okay. And then there's a stupid question that's actually irrelevant. You know, when was the last time you killed a cat? Okay. Are you going to promise to never kill cats ever again? You know, and this kind of nonsense, and it goes on and on and on. Thankfully, the Trump nominees, some of them are finally, they've had enough of this nonsense. They're not there to be abused and denigrated and slandered. They're there to give information. And if you, Mr. Democrat Senator, or in many cases, Miss Democrat Senator, if you are only here to grandstand, I'm not going to put up with it. Okay. And we had two great examples this week.
All right.
We had, let me get them right now. RFK calls out Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is all about universal health care. This is how we show compassion. We want America to have the same failed system of socialized medicine that socialism fails everywhere. And are you going to do this for us? And RFK, he calls out Bernie Sanders. He says, you've taken more money from pharmaceutical industry than anybody else. You've taken $1.5 million. And so you're getting your funding from the people.
Oh, no, you can't go there. It's almost a direct quote of Bernie.
Yeah, no. And what was that? He's waving a red flag saying guilty. Okay. And the point being that
guilty.
RFK did exactly what needs to be done. When you people, you Democrats, if you're not here to discuss policy going forward, and you're here to actually advance your agenda, I'm not going to play that game. Okay. And let's see. I had the other one that I had. Kash Patel, FBI director. Okay. And he flat out called Adam Schiff a liar.
Yep.
Which needs to happen. When you're a senator, you don't suddenly have this presumption of your honor, your divinity, whatever. No, these people are elected representatives of people.
There had to be a reason why he got pardoned.
Exactly. Yeah, those preemptive pardons.
Unless you've at least your own president, who you're on his side, has said you are not worthy of going forward without being indicted.
Yeah, but it's basically
that would include me.
It's basically, we all know you committed crimes, but we're not going to let them touch you over it, which
exactly.
I hope that our side plans to go after those preemptive pardons. For the moment,
I think they will.
They need to, because that's unconstitutional.
Kash
you don't
Patel,
have a president.
Bondi, if she gets elected, Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, if she gets voted in.
Yep. If they get confirmed, they absolutely need to go after those preemptive pardons.
They will. And those people are scared to death. I'm talking about the Democrats who are using this method. And by the way,
wait a minute. You missed one. The Democrats and rhinos, Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney.
Yes.
See, your girlfriend, Liz Cheney, you keep trying to put off on me. You're covering for her, but she is one that's also scared to death.
I was actually in an elevator with her once, and she said, do you know a guy named Adamo?
Okay.
And she told me all about you guys.
Speaking of slander, yeah. No, I've never met Liz Cheney.
It is true. I have met her. and I was in an elevator with her.
See, and you're telling about me now. So anyway, we don't want to.
Well, we don't. Nobody knows for sure what happened.
But they
in
are.
that elevator.
They are absolutely scared to death. The only thing that I think that Biden actually accomplished, or Biden, Obama, whoever was actually doing this, it wasn't Biden, but the only thing that they actually accomplished was they put a big target on, here are the people you need to investigate and indict.
Yeah.
Here are the people that committed crimes that we're trying to cover for.
Right. Right. So did you lose your spot?
No, I've got more notes here.
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to just say this: you've got an election today, and the election is to say who is the leader of the Democratic Party. And I'm thinking to myself, well, let's see, Schumer, Warren, Bernie. I don't understand it. Maybe Fetterman. Okay, Fetterman would make a decent. I think he'd make a decent.
The thing about Fetterman is he's kind of unassuming enough to where he tries to be honest about things, and the problem is that doesn't make him a good Democrat.
Because wait a minute, I'm not saying it makes him a good Democrat, but right now they are lost. They have nothing. They've got nothing. Who's going to be it? Kamala? I mean, are you going to bring back Joe? He says he won.
Since Biden and Obama are into these preemptive pardons, what they should have done is they also should have had a preemptive pardon wild card that says whoever is the next DNC chairman, we're giving them a preemptive pardon too, because they're going to be a criminal.
Yeah, well, it's pretty. Well, yeah, but that doesn't make sense, and neither do a lot of these pardons where there have been no charges.
Yeah,
where you
exactly.
Where you go back to 2014. If you challenge these things, I believe you're going to be able to indict a lot of these people, just like they weren't pardoned.
And we know who we need to indict.
That's the best leader of the Democratic Party, Donald J. Trump. I'm dead serious. Most of the Democrats absconded to vote for him anyways, and they like what he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So for a while, if I was a Democrat, I'd say, you know what, I'm going to go with Donald Trump. He's a good leader. He's common sense.
He's doing what the Republicans should have done for decades.
Yeah. So I'm a Democrat. I gotta, and he's showing the bad things about DEI and things like that. Mm-hmm. And we're done with this racism crap. Okay, we're just done. We want honest. We want people.
Oh my gosh! Did you just say that word? Honest?
Well, they want people who are honest. Yeah, because eventually they do. Because they've seen the things that we're told that this is great, this is going to work. DEI, for example, and it doesn't work. It's stupid. It's contradictive to what they want.
So let me give you two good examples here this week of how now what you're talking about, and unfortunately it ain't going to happen, because the minute leftists try to be honest, they're no longer leftists. Okay, so they're not about to do that. What they're really doing right now behind closed doors is they're scrambling and regrouping. Okay, how do we repackage the lie where maybe people will continue to fall for it? It never worked. How do we do it again? Let me give you two absolutely outstanding examples of Democrat strategy going forward. Okay, number one, do you know who Natalie Winters is? She's
Natalie Winters.
Okay, Steve Bannon's co-host. She's this rather pretty blonde gal. She's rather shapely.
I know who she is.
Okay, she was at the press conference there at the White House, and she's excellent at the work she does. She's asking the right questions because she's a conservative. Okay, okay. Now here's the Democrat response. Instead of saying, you know what, she's asking the right questions, she's effective, we need to be more like her. No, they're on her because the clothing she wears looks too provocative or whatever. Right?
There's something about it on Twitter this morning.
It's all over the place. And here's the thing. And if Natalie, if you're listening, here's your response to these people. per my book up here. Okay, here's the response. You don't get on there and say, hey, I'm just trying to dress nice or whatever. You don't try to play nice with these people. What you do is you come back with a sledgehammer on these people, because these are the people that want to put drag queens in the classrooms with your 9-year-old kid. These are the people who want to put adult men in the locker room with your 14-year-old daughter because the guy says he's a woman. Okay, these are the people that are into total moral depravity. They're into every kind of social and moral rot that they can. And so the only thing that you could say about these people when they're going to criticize because her clothing looks too attractive and she's a very pretty gal. Okay, the only thing that you could call these people is raging hypocrites. And that's how you do it. You talk about, well, okay, this is what they're saying, and they sound so pious and sanctimonious. Here's who they really are. They're lying to you. And anybody that they say this to, they actually, when they tell their own side this kind of stuff, they're not trying to raise moral standards. They're telling their own side, I think you're a bunch of idiots, and I can just manipulate you and play you with this stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Personally, you objected the way I answered this, and I'm answering this by saying they need to get out of that mode.
Yeah, no, I don't object to that.
Out of there, and it's good for them to be able to convert. Let's say it's not doing you any good to be lying POSs. It's not doing you any good. Look where you are now. It's been uncovered. Donald Trump, if he did anything in his world, he uncovered it. Okay, he
unmasked it.
He showed that it doesn't work, and he is taking measures to eradicate it.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so if I was a Democrat and I saw this, and for some reason I believed in all the BS that they came up with, I would be looking at that and saying, he's right. What am I doing here? I don't belong here.
You've got to start by recognizing the BS, though. You've got to start by recognizing, you know what?
Look, we report that on this show. We
exactly
the BS.
This is why you TikTokers out there need to be listening to this gentleman, because he does exactly that. Okay, nice hat, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay, but let me give you another example this week of Democrat grandstanding it fits exactly with what you're saying, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. By the way, you're absolutely right. The Democrat leadership, the leftist leadership, they're consigning themselves to the fringe. They're not going to change. Okay, now the grassroots, they are waking up. That's how Trump won. Okay, let's look at a huge diplomatic victory slam dunk that happened this week and how the Democrats interpreted it. Okay, and I'm talking about the whole thing of sending the illegals down to Colombia, sending them back home. And Petro, the president, he rejected the planes. Okay, and then Trump said, "Fine, we're gonna triple the tariffs on you, or whatever. We're gonna raise the tariffs up to 50%." Okay, within 20 minutes, Petro said, "Whoops, okay, I overstepped. You know what? Bring him." Not only did he say, "Bring him down here, we'll accept him," but he said, "While we're at it, just to show you what a good guy I am, we're going to use my presidential plane to help you bring them back here." Okay. Huge diplomatic victory. Okay. Two things that the Democrats did in response to this. Okay. Number one, they had all of their little minions out there, like Harry Sisson and the Krasenstein brothers, and CNN was big on this. This is going to raise the price of coffee, and Americans are going to die in the streets because they can't drink coffee. And
AOC said this, how are we going to get coffee?
Exactly. Okay, so they're all off on this thing because this is a bad thing to do. Now, it blew up in their faces, right? Because it was a huge victory for Trump. So what do? Does one of them have that sense of honesty that you talked about come out and say, you know what? This guy's doing good things. Maybe we should support him. Here's what they did.
He was right. I was wrong.
Right. Okay. That would be an honest Democrat. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's what they did. The memo that came out explaining all of this.
Yeah.
Colombia, when you're talking about the District of Columbia, it's spelled with a U. When you're talking about the country in South America of Colombia, it's spelled with an O. Okay. They misspelled it in the memo. There is the Democrats screaming about, look, they misspelled a word. They misspelled a word. The world's going to end.
That's too damn easy. They're throwing stuff at us we haven't seen before.
Right.
Transgender stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, when did this become huge? I knew there were transgenders way back in Chicago, back in the 70s and 60s, but there was no big deal. It was very.
I'll tell you why it happened. I'll tell you why it came out as big as it did. It came out that way because let's go back to Saul Alinsky. Let's go back to his rules for radicals and
he was a
my
Chicago guy too, wasn't he?
What's that?
Wasn't Saul Alinsky from Chicago?
Oh yeah. Here's what happened. They started doing that stuff because they're pushing an agenda to destroy America. And they started playing the Alinsky strategy, which is all about go on the attack, put your opposition on defensive. And you know what? We complied. We had no idea what they were up to.
Right.
And so like in these hearings, you're asking me a bunch of questions. You're calling me a bunch of names. How can I be nice enough to you to prove that I'm not the terrible person you say I am? And we lost. We lost right and left. That's what I saw back in Wyoming. Now, in Wyoming, it wasn't the overt Democrats. It was the rhinos. It was the Liz Cheneys. And we see this happening, and our side tries to play nice in response, and we lose. And at this point, the big difference, and we can thank Donald Trump for a lot of this, and I'll take a little bit of credit for it, but the big difference is we don't play nice. We don't play by the rules that they established for us. We go back. You're going to call me a name. I'm going to look at that name, and if it's untrue, I'm going to prove why you're a liar. I'm not going to try and defend myself against the phony accusation.
Exactly.
You've heard me say it a dozen times. I can call you anything. You're a drug dealer, Dave. And if you try to prove why, well, you may have thought I was selling drugs, but I was actually just giving a kid a free.
It was just Pfizer pills.
Yeah, at that point, you look guilty. And we've done that. And at this point, the answer is no. Not only did I not do that, here's why you're attacking me that way, because here's what I'm really going to do as a good conservative and patriot. And that's what you're scared of.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, here's a little quote. 2 ways to make a slave: work him without pay or pay him without work.
Oh yeah. I saw that this week.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely how they do it. The goal of, and this is again, the grassroots Democrats, the one that you and I want to wake up.
Yeah.
The thing we've got to do is get them to understand, where does your party really want you? Now let's contrast first. Where does Donald Trump make America great? Where does he want Americans? He wants Americans out there flourishing and operating, raising their families, living the American dream. Why? Because it's good for America, because the rising tide raises all boats, and it's good for him. Okay. Now the opposition party, if they can't get on board with that, which at this point they don't want to, they've got to come up with an opposition agenda. Here's their agenda. And it goes all the way back to Marx. You create as much squalor, as much tragedy, as much dystopia as you can in society, and then present yourself as the savior. Now, do you ever actually fix things? No, you don't, because if you fix things, they'll know they don't need you. So you never actually fix things. You just continually tell people around the next bend is utopia.
And you got to come up with new stuff that nobody's ever heard of.
And this is why we're into all the transgender lunacy in elementary schools.
Nobody's heard about that. They represent 0.03 of the population.
But if you convince people, you know what? You know how they advance that is those kids are all going to commit suicide if we don't give them these operations. They don't talk about the suicide rate.
And the proof is that these kids get so depressed
afterwards
themselves when they figure out what they've done.
Yeah, absolutely right, Dave.
They're crazy.
Listen, America, he's telling the truth. This is absolutely it. Now, at that point, when these kids are suicidal in massive numbers, do the Democrats care about them? No, they have no use for them at that point. They're actually a political inconvenience.
Well, it's like blacks now. They have no use for blacks.
Same thing. So
what happens? They're paying attention to all the illegal aliens.
Exactly right. The pattern is 100% consistent.
I want you to play clip 6 for Chris here. And then we got to go because I got to do some commercials.
Okay.
He was in Chicago over the weekend as federal agents began their targeted immigration enforcement operations in the Democrat-run city. Joining us now is Kata Truss, a Chicago resident. Kata, thank you for coming back on. And Your reaction to what you saw happening in your city after speaking up about this as long as you have over the weekend?
My reaction has been somewhat excitement, but then also, you can't see this happening and not have your heart hurt for some of the people who are going to be deported. And that's for the people who are hardworking, people who have come to this country. Now, those criminals who came here, which is what Tom Homan is targeting right now, we feel good about the fact that they're being taken back to their countries and taken out of our neighborhoods.
Okay, so this is a black woman, woman that voted every single time for a Democratic Party. She's up there in her probably 60s, close to 70. And says, this is the first time I voted for a Republican, Donald Trump. And she says she lives 3 blocks away from the mayor, Benny Johnson, 3 blocks away. Braden, whatever it is. And she says, my husband had his car jacked the other day. Wow. He says, we have to all worry about this. So, all right, on that note, other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find and buy your book?
Yeah, my book is, as always, it's available at Amazon. I'm still looking for other publishers. Mike Lindell, if you're listening, I'd love to get you to publish it, or Dan Bongino. But at this point, it's still available at Amazon. If you haven't gotten it, I know I'm always stumping for this, but looking at the principles we discuss, this is how you can become an expert on them.
You know what I did when the Italian chef?
This is a racial bad joke.
You know what I did when the Italian chef insulted me? I gave him a pizza mind. Okay. Now he hasn't. He's trying to resist laughing.
I think I've been victimized. I've been racially victimized on the Dave Weinbaum show.
Go tell it to go testify before Congress. Yeah, we'll show your book as evidence. Okay. All right. Thank you, Chris. Have a great weekend.
Keep up the great work.
Hi to your wife, and keep eating that pizza and talking to Cheney all the time.
Oh,
what are the phone bills like with you? All right, time to go.
Zero.
Yes, time to go, Zero. Okay, we got our next guest. What am I going to do? All right, I'm going to go with this guy. So, see, I had to rush it, and now he's a new guy, so I got to be nice to him. And hold on a minute, Mr. Edwardsson. All right, I'm going to do a little intro to you. I hope it's sufficient, but this man is a Swedish-American author. He's author of Radical Betrayal. I went through the highlights of his book, and it's evident that this new American, so to speak, has a great love for this country. Please welcome, all the way from Florida, I believe, Anders W. Edwardsson, PhD. I had to repeat that because he worked over me. Okay, so what are you a PhD in?
First, Dave, thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
And it's a great honor. I watch your show as often as I can.
Oh, thank you.
I am actually a PhD in politics or political science.
No kidding.
I got it after many years of relatively hard work at Catholic University in Washington, D.C. But as you said, as soon as I was done with that, I moved down to sunny Florida. So
there you go. Smart move. Smart move. Well, it's been great here in Missouri, except for this year. My God, we still got snow from the beginning of January here, and I think it's all gone, isn't it? There's just a little bit. Yeah, I can't play golf. Do you play golf?
Me? No.
Okay.
I tried once, and the guy who tried to teach me, he said, "Don't quit your day job."
Yeah. I had
I was moving dirt more than balls.
I had I golfed with a caddy in Jamaica. I was there on a vacation, and afterwards I was pretty happy with the guy, and I says, so what do you want? he looks at me and he says, "I want an apology." All right, so
Okay.
you're not going to give me my God. He laughed at it. What the hell why are you judging me? All right, so what motivated the colonies to found this country? It seems like they were somewhat okay with the Brits. I mean, what are they? I mean, really, what forced them into thinking we need our own independence?
Yeah, I mean, it's an enormous, complicated story. But the bottom was that, as you said, the people living in the 13 original states, they were Englishmen and they were proud of being Englishmen. But during the 1700s, the politicians in London started to tax and abuse their rights to such an extent that in 1776 they snapped, and after begging the king and everyone to help them, they said our natural rights has been violated. So I actually don't really like to talk about the American Revolution. It sounds so socialist in a way. I prefer to call it the American Reconstruction or something like that.
Okay. So Reconstruction from a country that was basically being controlled by the British or the United Kingdom, and then abused a little bit here and there, and they decided, well, you know what, we don't need this, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the reason for much of the abuse was, except just politics as normal, was that the English were so deeply in debt after a number of long wars against the French and other Europeans. So, and that my book is about American exceptionalism, and two very important part of what was original American exceptionalism was freedom, as we have already talked about. They didn't want their rights tramped on, but also peace. We didn't want to be involved in European or other wars. We just wanted to have our own country over here and do business, our business literally, and leave other people alone and be left alone.
Now here's something I want to ask you. Britain had slavery too, but they abandoned it in 1833. Why did it take the USA under Lincoln that declared the slaves be free in 1863? And that's having a civil war with 600,000 people on both sides killed. Why did it take so long?
Yeah, I mean, that's another gigantic question. But all we can say is that slavery was an inheritance from the English times, and it was so important economically, and to some part in the South also socially in 1776, that it had to be left aside, so to speak. It couldn't just be abolished overnight. Because then the southern states wouldn't have joined the U.S. and the U.S. of A. had never been founded. Maybe just 6 or 7 small states up in the north or something, not all 13. Mm-hmm. So it was a sad heritage, European heritage, that it took almost 100 years to shake off, and as you said, a horrible civil war. But at least it disappeared, and it disappeared more or less in many European countries. It disappeared not much earlier. Mm-hmm. So
there's still slavery all over the world. I mean, it's not permanently. There's still a lot of slaves all over the place. Other than the Civil War, take us through the rest of the 1800s, starting with the Louisiana Purchase of 1803. And now you got Trump talking about the Panama Canal, Canada, and Greenland.
Well, the 1800, as you mentioned there, that was standard politics in those times. European countries annexed and took and stole and bought chunks of land, more like private property all over the world, and founding colonies. So that was nothing weird. And when it comes to Greenland and the Panama Canal today, I dare to say Trump is a very, very smart man. I think this is his talk here is first and foremost negotiation proposals. What he wants is to keep the Russians and the Chinese out from Greenland and Panama. And as all good negotiators, he asks for more going in a negotiation than he knows that he can get. But already the Danes has decided after just a few weeks to pay much more for the defense of Greenland. And
Denmark. That's Denmark, by the way, right? You said the Danes. I'm not sure everybody here knows that. Denmark.
Oh,
right?
Denmark, yes.
Yeah.
Denmark people are called Danes.
Yeah. Okay.
And as I understand it, the present government in Panama has also promised to, or at least given signals that they will look over this Chinese influence over the Panama canals. So just like with Colombia, as you talked to with your former guest Chris, he's on the way of winning these. It's first and foremost diplomacy and strategy. It's not what making Greenland the 51st state or something like that. I don't even think they want to be that.
Well, he did say Canada in the words that we'd love to have you as our 51st state.
That was also cultural diplomacy, because, as you know, there is no bigger insult to a Canadian than call him an American or something like that, and threatening them. Well, get control over your budget, your tolls and borders and stuff. Otherwise, you will turn into the 51st state. I think that was a brilliant cultural diplomatic move, because it's just brilliant.
Well, here's one. We had a war with Cuba in 1898, and they were very, very nasty to us and to its own people. Why didn't we take it over in 1898?
Well, we actually worked we didn't have a war with Cuba. We had a war with Spain. Who had Cuba as as a colony, and they treated the Cubans very, very badly.
Yeah.
So, as the good-hearted people Americans are, they said that why would we accept to have this colonial cancer on just next to Florida and our borders? The Cubans should be able to have the same rights and freedom as we have. So it was, but the Spanish-American War of 1988 is problematic, because it was the first time that America went abroad. I said before, the American people love peace from day one. And this was the first time that aggressive politicians in Washington, D.C. went abroad to conduct regime change. And that was the beginning of this much more partly questionable, partly heroic, and partly also just ugly things of the long string of wars that this country has been involved in since.
Well,
some of them have been really good and heroic, like the Second World War. Others has been like Iraq and stuff has just been disastrous.
Well, we had, I know this is a lot of years between, but in 1903 or 1803, we had the Louisiana Purchase, which I believe was bought from the French, mostly. Yes. And so, and that worked out pretty darn good, wouldn't you say? Why didn't we just buy Cuba from the Spaniards? Because we were doing very well in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Seriously. And would have caused a lot less problem than we have now.
Yeah, the Spaniards were not interested. Cuba, together with the Philippines and Guam and Puerto Rico was the last remnants of the a few hundred years earlier huge Spanish Empire, and they hanged on to it to more or less any cost. They treated the Cubans and the Filipinos really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So they more or less asked for it, so to speak. But it was also the beginning of a much more questionable, aggressive foreign policy. In more modern times, it has first and foremost we have blamed it on neoconservatives, and they are to blame. But it's also so-called international liberals like Hillary Clinton and Obama and stuff, who thinks they can go abroad and turn 5,000-year-old dictatorships into democracies overnight by just occupying them and kick out Saddam Hussein or whatever it is. The reality doesn't work that way, and I think we have all come to that conclusion the last 5-10 years.
Well, yeah, it's hard to know because Donald Trump is still very unique in what he's doing, and in the 1900s, for example, other than the beginning of it, which was a very big period of profit, depression hit, and FDR became a king, even taking a third term and trying to fix the Supreme Court. So and he took and he had 3 terms. So how do you equate him with peace? Because the only way he weaseled out of this was World War II.
Yeah, I mean, World War II, I see it as one of the good and necessary wars the U.S. Got involved in, because if the Japanese and the Nazis had won the Second World War, the world had been a very, very different and ugly place. What you can question more is like the First World War, because there was not such a big difference between Germany and Britain and France in those days.
Yeah, okay. Let's argue that.
Yeah, Vietnam, you can also question if it was worth the price and so on. But what I write about in my book is radical betrayal, is the double, what should we call it? The double mistake from around 1900 to in foreign policy become more aggressive and get involved in all these wars, and on the home front at home leave the founding fathers' great heritage behind and introduce a federal welfare state. These
federal what? I'm sorry, federal
welfare state.
Yes. Okay.
With taking over education and partly healthcare and food stamp programs and stuff that much of it is probably necessary, but it should be taken care of by the states or counties instead, like it was up until the 1930s, 1960s, when the federal government stepped in and took over all these things. And it's these two things, wars on one hand and the federal welfare state on the other, that has led most concretely to $36 trillion in debt.
Yes.
But it has also created this toxic political environment, because almost half the country, basically the Democrats, want to continue this and turn the U.S. into some kind of giant France or Sweden, with no states' rights, no individual freedoms, and a big welfare state that is traveling the globe and trying to introduce democracy everywhere.
And then you have the industrial military, which Eisenhower pointed out, keeping these guys working for the government and having people that, it's sort of has become the swamp, or big part of the swamp. But you have dead children going over fighting these wars. They die, they get killed, and they're put limits on what they can do. Vietnam, a good example. That kind of ticks me off. Doesn't that bother you at all?
Oh,
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing wrong to fight for freedom and stand up for freedom. And I take my hat off, if I had one right now, for every veteran, every heroic American soldier.
Yes. Make you feel better.
Yeah.
How's that?
No.
No. Maybe
I would put my hat.
Yeah, next time wear your hat.
I have one here, actually.
Okay, yeah, well, see, we could have matched. There you go.
There you go. So I take my hat off for every veteran, every courageous man and woman
who has
served this great country abroad.
And a lot of it was for nothing.
Yes.
Look, it affected its arm in a lot of cases, like Vietnam, like World War I. World War II, it's suspicious how it came, but I know there's all sorts of things that are suspicious. But yeah, it had to be done. The way this country was situated at that time, it could have really affected us.
The thing is, just to make a short detour, if the First World War hadn't happened, the Second World War wouldn't have happened either. Or at least if the First World War had ended differently with a peace settlement and all that, because then you wouldn't have had a Russian Revolution, you wouldn't have had Hitler and the Nazis in Germany. So unfortunately, by helping the British and French to win the First World War, America is partly responsible historically for what followed. But I mean, that's easy to say today. It's
whoever negotiated the peace for the First World War, kind of scripted it for the World War II to happen. Was it like 20 years later or less?
That was Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah, and so they made it so hard on the Germans. The Nazis figured out, well, we can do this. First of all, they did a thing called the Reichstag. Remember the Reichstag moment in Israel on February 28th, I believe, 1933. The Nazis had 8% of the vote that year, and they figured out a way to blame the communists for the fire, and they blamed the communists, and they got the then president of Germany to give them all sorts of power to get rid of these communists. That's how the Nazis originally came, and it reminds me a lot of 1/6. How about?
Oh, it's a huge leap in that comparison, but I see what the political dynamic was. They try. I can see why you see similarities there. Yes, the thing is, in 1933 it worked. In 2021 it didn't.
Well, it's worked until just now. It's still trying. They're still trying to work it. Let's put it that way. With these these chairs of these committees that are being sent, but from Trump to the almost like the gas house of the Democrats, who are just trying to kill these guys off left and right with the 1/6 thing, and they're complaining that 600 police officers were killed or this, and none of that happened. I know what happened there. I don't know if you've ever seen Jeff Zink on my show.
I don't think so, but I have a hard time for names. So
that's all right. But his son was actually they were at the 1/6 deal, and his son was with him the whole time. He never went in the building. He was accused of killing a cop, a DC DC a Capitol policeman pointed him out and testified in a courthouse that he was the one that killed Sicknick, Officer Sicknick. Okay, and he wasn't anywhere close to the guy. They came and broke his doors down in Texas where he lived and dragged him off to DC where he was convicted of 2 felonies and put in jail there. And finally, the judge had to give up because it was all BS, and had to let him go. But even before he was given his freedom by Donald Trump. So that history seems to have repeated itself, and I think it's their model of what they're still using it.
No doubt about it that J6 was a political scam first and foremost. Then some people behaved badly, and unfortunately, one cop died in a heart attack or whatever. But
not there. He didn't die there.
No. He died later. So they lied. Absolutely.
Still lying.
What me, as from a historical and political science perspective,
yes,
beyond the humanitarian aspect of this that you so brilliantly just bring out, is that the bitterness, the vitriol, the political hatred that the Democrats holds and wiped up with J6 and more broadly everything that has to do with Trump goes down on a split, almost down the middle, the American people, to what America should be, how it should work, what it should strive for.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, the last 125 years or so, the Democratic Party, first and foremost, but also some neocon parts of the Republicans, have tried to leave the founding fathers' liberty and peace heritage behind and turn us into an aggressive, warlike, top-down, European-like welfare state. And a lot of people have bought that because they think it's a good thing. But it's not what the founding fathers wanted this country to be. And I see Trump's victories, and especially the latest one, as a long-needed proof that at least 50-55% of Americans say enough. We need to get the Democrats and the European fetishists out and return to the great heritage that Washington and Jefferson and Adams and everyone gave up in 1776 and 89. It's a great historical turnaround, and that's in my little book. I try to sketch out the history that led forward to 2021, January 20th, 2025. Sorry.
Yeah.
So,
well, what I'm seeing is that the Democrats are having an election today to find out. They want a leader of the Democratic Party, and I thought about this, and I use this in my monologue, and I'm thinking, well, who are they going to get? Kamala? Are they going to get Schumer? Liz Warren? Liz Cheney, for that matter? Who are they going to get? And I'm thinking to myself, if I was a Democrat right now and I realized how awful this party is, as many of them have, I'd pick Donald Trump to be the leader of the Democratic Party and try to figure out what I'm going to do next. Give them a couple of years to figure out what the hell they're going to do next, because they have nothing. And everybody knows they're frauds. What do you think?
I mean, it would be a great idea, but I can promise you it will never happen.
It might happen in a way, though. You know what I'm saying? It might happen by itself.
Yeah, personally, because even if you have won this great battle, the war isn't over yet, so to speak. So I wish if in my wettest of dreams, I hope that the Democrats would elect, for example, AOC or someone really even crazier than the people they have had today.
They're not going to
win. Because they, as I said, we have won the decisive battle, the Stalingrad, so to speak, of this war. But it still will take a long time to get rid of all the democratic socialists and stuff. So please, Democrats, choose some really nutcase to take this great journey you are on over the cliff. Just gear down and speed up and go over the cliff and disappear.
Well, I appreciate everything you've done here. You're really interesting to talk to. I'll have you back. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find you and buy your book?
Yeah, it's called Radical Betrayal: How Liberals and Neoconservatives Are Wrecking American Exceptionalism. It came out before the election, so now if I ever give out a second edition, I will have to call it How Liberals and Neoconservatives Almost Wrecked American Exceptionalism. But I'm sure that now we have saved the day, and now it's just to clean up this mess that they have created and take this on the new golden age is upon us now.
So let me see. You're not a electrical engineer or anything, right? But I do.
No.
Do electricians have light workouts?
What?
I was stretching with that, and I was stretching. You expect a complicated question. You're a PhD. You deserve better. I'm sorry. I did my best. Okay, I'm trying to keep up.
I just needed a second to think about it. It was really good.
All right, I enjoyed it very much, and I hope you did too. And I know my audience did. Thank you so much, Mr. Edwardsson. Edwardsson. Let's hear a round of applause for him. There you go. Thanks. All right, enough. We're paying overtime already. All right, thank you, sir. Have a good weekend.
Have a good one.
Wear the hat. There you go. There you go. All right, thanks.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to do commercials, and we're coming up next with the McCluskeys, right? So let's do the commercials because he was swift.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333.
Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word: crispy, but also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender, all one word. But then also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is 2 words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333.
Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
Gotta reach 'em, see it right now.
Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
At Town & Country Bank, we are committed to providing exceptional service to our customers. We do more than just provide loans for our community. We help make dreams become reality. Whether it's a new home, farm, business, or a new car, we would love the opportunity to help. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly lending team remind you how special hometown banking can be. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a great guest coming on. Apparently, his partner isn't there, but he is. They are American heroes armed with a pistol and a rifle just to save their home and property from Antifa, Black Lives Matters, all led by former Congresswoman Cori Bush. Please welcome Mark, and well, just Mark Muskie. We don't have his wife. That saddens me. That just saddens me. All right, listen to me. The NCAA just stripped Liz Thomas of all her titles in women's swimming because, well, he's a man. And they've awarded now this the new champion, Riley Gaines. Okay. Now I heard something that I didn't quite understand. Mark, does this wreck your dream of calling yourself Marcia to compete as a woman in college swimming?
You know,
That's what the report was. I don't know.
I just want to get Big Mike to be out there as a female basketball player. That's all.
Oh man. Oh my God. Yeah, what's going on there, by the way? Allegedly he's having an affair with Aniston and
Jennifer Aniston. Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston and she's not showing up to anything apparently. Well,
when everybody was speculating that
pull your jockstrap up and go back to your husband for God's sakes. Come on, man.
When everybody was speculating that she was gonna be the surprise nominee for president, and I've said this on your show before, she can't do it because she can't pass the medical exam. Big Mike has got a problem between her legs.
Big Mac. and thankfully it isn't you.
I know. Oh my God. Wash your mouth out with soap, Dave Weinbaum.
Get the soap ready. I got more. So there's this amazing job being voted on today, and it's wide open. They are voting for the leader of the Democratic Party.
Wow.
If they can find it. If you could put your name in there, what do you think?
Doing everything I could to destroy the Democrat Party, I wouldn't be nearly as good as Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
Here's the problem with that. You're going to have a one-party. You're going to have a one-party country, and I love Donald Trump as much as anybody, and as much as you. Don't we need a two-party country? Somebody has to come in and say, "Look, I'm taking over," and you know what? I'm saying that Trump should be the leader of the Democratic Party right now, and we can figure out a little later what we're going to do as Democrats because this ain't working.
Yeah,
we're not cutting it. They know we're liars. They know we're Marxists. They know that we're communists and whatever. And whatever we say now, they don't believe. Yeah. We could be telling the truth, and they would call us liars.
Well, the interesting thing is it takes a Democrat administration every 20 years or so to wake up America and let them realize, what a disaster it would be to actually let them be in charge. Go back as far as FDR, right? By the time he was so senile, he didn't know where he was. America still elected him, but it took a while to fix the New Deal. Then you get Jimmy Carter, right? And Jimmy Carter in 4 short years screwed the country up worse than any human being on earth except for Joe Biden. And then you fast forward from 1976 into 2020, and now you get a guy in there that makes Jimmy Carter look like the savior of America. And it takes that kind of absolute incompetence and leftist nonsense to wake up the American people.
But this is nonsense that resonates now. We understand how they have screwed up, how Carter screwed up, how Biden every time he where you at? Oh, he's not here. I want to play a bit for you because every time he pardons somebody, the Republicans got another year of power.
Yeah.
Okay. Figure it out. Every time these guys open their mouths, they're losing points with America.
Yeah. And it's not just the politicians. Watch Morning Joe, watch Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, right? They have not learned their lesson. No. Every day they're on their show telling the American people, look, you're just too stupid. You need to pay more attention to us. If you just listen to us more, you'd understand why you're wrong and we're right. They're just not getting the message.
Yeah, and they actually went to Mar-a-Lago to kiss his ring, or his took us. I don't know which, but they apologized, and Zuckerberg apologized, and all these tech companies apologized and gave him $1 million.
When you've got the noose around your neck, right? It's pretty easy to say I'm sorry and I apologize, right? You just got to make sure that noose.
I haven't been that bad. Apparently, you know what it's like. So
I've had 500 noose hangers in front of my house. Oh, I can't say that. That's right.
Yeah, there you go. I guess you've been there. Excuse me, I forgot. That was bad. That was almost like a Democrat questioning you to be the head of the FBI right there.
Yeah,
It was terrible.
Yeah, can't you just wait until Kash Patel's head of the FBI? like your buddy Jeff, who I'm filling in for today, and his son Ryan. We're now representing a whole bunch of the J6ers. And one of the things that is uniform is that no matter how innocuous their alleged crime is, if all they're charged with is a misdemeanor trespass, something which in the city of St. Louis would get you, a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
They storm their houses, kick in the front doors, flashbang them, hog tie them, do everything they can to intimidate them, haul them out in their underwear in sub-zero temperatures and lay them out on the lawn. Somebody high up in the FBI or the Justice Department, maybe all the way up to Merrick Garland, instructed the FBI and the federal marshals to make the arrests of everybody as painful, as unpleasant, and as obviously overborne as possible to intimidate everybody. I want Kash Patel to find out who the hell that was, and we need to prosecute that person.
And even yesterday, they were talking about, and I think this was questions for Kash Patel. What about those 600 police who were injured during that insurrection? What about them? I want you to turn around. This is Adam Schiff talking. I want you to turn around and apologize to those people. Apologize to them right now. He says, "Go ahead, look at them." He says, "Nah, I'm looking at you." I loved it.
Yeah.
That was a great answer.
I like the time when he says, "What about the guy who kills 2 FBI agents that Biden pardoned?" Right? Tell that to the police officer. Then Kash says, "I've got, what did he say? 350,000 law enforcement officers that have endorsed him."
Yeah, 300,000.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So I don't have to turn around. I'm looking at you. He says, read the information. Now I want you to look at him right now. This is Schiff, who he was pardoned. Schiff for what? Why? Why were these people pardoned who haven't been accused of any crimes yet?
Yeah. The problem is, of course, that the Democrats accuse Republicans of doing everything that they in fact do. Yeah. And here's the solution. Of course, these people that have been pardoned, they just need to get subpoenaed in front of Congress again, ask the exact same questions that they perjured themselves on before, and then it's a brand new charge. Adam Schiff wouldn't know the truth if, as
wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, let's delve into that a little bit, because I'm not sure everyone understands that. They've been pardoned.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they go to testify again, what happens in the courtroom when they say, "I want to take the Fifth Amendment"? Amendment.
If they're still subject to state charges, they've only been pardoned for federal crimes. If they are still subject to maybe prosecution under state law, they can still take the Fifth. But if the only potential claims would be federal claims, they can't take the Fifth. And then if they lie again, you haul them in. What did people go to jail for under the Biden administration? Lying to Congress? Well, holy crap! Pardon my language. Adam Schiff lies every time he opens his mouth. Or as somebody says yesterday on, I think, Fox, it's a crime to lie to Congress, but Congress can lie to us every day with impunity.
Yeah. I especially liked Kennedy yesterday talking to Bernie. I don't know if you remember that or not, but he says, what are you talking about? They were trying to say that he could not defend, he could not go against the Pfizer Corporation for them murdering millions of Americans, and he says, "Well, I have proof." And then Bernie says, you're making money off of this. He says, I'm not the one making money here. You're making money. You're $1.5 million. Bernie says, "You can't say that." He says, "I just said it. Yeah. And it's true, and you know it."
Yeah.
Okay.
And Bernie was getting red in the face. He was getting angry.
My God, did he get upset? Well, that's the answer.
Yeah.
It's true. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you one more question. As a lawyer, did you ever ask a question to a witness that implicated him or her and then said, "I withdraw the question."
Oh, no.
That happened to me when I was in my young 30s
Really?
in a divorce trial, sitting on the witness chair, being grilled by an excellent lawyer, and that happened to me. And I turned to the judge, and I said, "Your Honor, he just asked me a question. Don't I have the right to answer it?" And the judge says, "Yes, you do." I learned a lot. Now, would that happen in a courtroom?
I do that. I on that end, I do that all the time, right? You got the defendant on the stand, or you got the defendant expert on the stand, and you say you ask them a question that you know they are going to refuse to answer, or they're going to get squirrely on, right? But if they refuse to answer it, the jury's going to know what the answer was going to be. Right. So I said, I withdraw, forget about it, right? Because the jury's already learned that
they've heard it.
Yeah, they already heard the answer without.
I knew the judge heard it, so I knew I had to answer.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the oldest lawyer tricks in the book, right?
Sure, I figured that. I mean, I didn't know for sure, but I did. I mean, like, somebody asks you a question, and they take it away. You know they're doing it for a reason, so I answered it, and it was a pretty good answer. And apparently, the judge thought it was a pretty good answer too, and the other guy didn't. He was pissed off that I got away with it.
Yeah.
You know, I've done a lot of damage as a witness, not sometimes to myself, but not always.
Are these all divorce cases, by the way?
Some, yeah. Some are custody cases. I went to the Supreme Court in North Dakota. Hold on, I got to figure this out. My second ex-wife. Okay, see, it takes time. She had twins up in North Dakota, and I'm telling you, we went to visit them because she wasn't getting any visitation rights or anything. So we went to visit them, and they lived on a farm south of Fargo. I forget the name of the town they were in, but I'm telling you, I walked up to her ex-husband and to meet him, and the son of a gun, if he weighed about 400 pounds. Okay. And he was like so tall, it was incredible. And then his bigger brother, I met him too, his bigger, older brother. Oh my God, I'm looking at these people and I'm saying, if they don't like me, they can bury me out here and nobody will ever find me, And so finally it came to the point to where they weren't going to let them, the kids, see their mother. The kids were 4 and 5 and stuff like that. And so I sued them. And finally, the judge didn't like me. I knew that. And I finally hired his ex-partner. And the judge just hated me, just thought very anti-Semitic. His court reporter was there asking me questions like, did I fly my private jet there? That kind of stuff. So I knew where this was coming from, and it was coming from the judge. And finally, the judge ruled against us. He wouldn't let some of the stuff that I wanted in, and my lawyer, his ex-partner, wanted in, which I knew that it could work. So I appealed it to the Supreme Court of North Dakota. I hired a woman, lawyer, who pretty much said everything that I said. There was 6 different issues. We won 4 of the 6 issues, including splitting twins.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I'm sitting in the balcony, and those lawyers down there looked at the judges and slowly turned around and looked at me. I've never felt more weird in my life. Okay. It's just weird. That's the kind of stuff that's happened to me, and it makes me wonder why I'm not a lawyer.
Well, I'll tell you a story. I started practicing in Dallas. I was the only Gentile in a Jewish law firm, and we're out arguing a oil and gas case in West Texas in the Court of Appeals. I won't mention any names, but the lawyer for the plaintiff gets up and makes their opening statement. And then my boss, who happened to be a Jewish guy with a New York accent, gets up and introduces himself to the court. The first question from the court was, "You're a Jewish fellow, ain't you?" And I figured we weren't going to do too good after that.
Who said that? The judge?
The judge.
Gee. Well, yeah, it's so much of it depends on the judge, and it depends on if you got a jury. Look at the juries in D.C. What, 92 to 95% all voted for the Democrat, and the judge, the New York City, Manhattan. My God, what the hell's that about? I mean, I thought the Jews dominated there. Apparently, they're not that powerful.
Well, I guess you guys need to get organized.
It's we ought to get our own damn country is what we ought to do.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Well, wait a second. If I were to answer that question, someday that would come back to bite me in the ass,
Yeah, well, all you Christians. Oh, wait, you don't want to start with me on Catholics, do you? Because I love you. You're a great guy. I've had a lot of great friends who are Catholics. Do you know the Vatican still has all the booty they took from the Jews back in 70 A.D.? Do you know that, or 60 A.D.?
Oh, the Temple of Solomon. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and do you also know who built the Colosseums?
Probably Jewish slaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. They probably weren't getting paid with that money that was taken from the Temple of Solomon either.
No, we haven't seen it. I don't. It must be missing somewhere.
Yeah. I'll go sideways on that because I was interested when I learned that the FAA was intentionally hiring people with severe mental disabilities,
yes,
psychiatric problems, right?
Yeah.
And so I pulled their page today, and I was looking at it, and it says, I'll just give you, this is my long lead up for a short joke. The FAA takes great pride in ensuring that all employees are afforded the opportunity to connect with others who share similar culture, background, identity, interests, or goals. Well, so they have this list of FAA-sponsored organizations. FA Globe, gay, lesbian, or bisexual employees. National Native America, Alaskan Native Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees. National Hispanic Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees. National Asian and Pacific American Association. National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees. National Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees with Disabilities. Professional Women Controllers. Technical Women's Organization and Federal Workers Program. Well, Dave, guess what I didn't read? Federal Organization of Jewish Workers, Federal Organization of White Catholic Workers, Federal Organization of Male Workers.
Yeah. And what did you see yesterday? You saw a helicopter run into a plane and kill 64 people.
Yeah.
Killed them.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of them youngsters who were skaters and all that from Kansas.
Yeah.
And they were shorthanded.
Yeah. And one guy doing two guys' jobs. One person is supposed to be directing the helicopter. Other guy's supposed to be directing the airplane. I fly in there all the time, and I got to tell you, even on a nice clear day, it's that when you hit that runway 33, I mean, it goes across that little island. It's the shortest runway. They really hit the brakes, man. You feel like, oh, you're going forward.
Sure. They have to stop you real quick.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going down the other side. Yeah. I mean, it's people are. I mean, this is terrible.
All kidding aside, when you have a federal government that says they're going to intentionally hire for the most dangerous job on the planet people with severe intellectual disabilities, what's it say here? People with severe disabilities include people with what's it say here? Boy, can I find it? Severe disabilities are the most underrepresented segment of the federal workforce, right?
Yeah.
They include, get this list, they include hearing, vision, hearing and vision, right? You're going to have your air traffic controllers that can't see or hear well.
And deaf.
Hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy. You want to have an epileptic up there in the
sure.
Severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric disabilities, and dwarfism, right? Now, I got nothing against dwarfs. You give them a stool, they can probably do the job just fine.
Yeah, sure.
But it seems to me it's criminally negligent is if the federal government is intentionally trying to kill people by putting people with severe intellectual disabilities in charge of anything. I mean, instead of
I'm
the
gonna tell you
FAA,
something. There's something that you said they didn't mention Jews or anything like that. I got to tell you, they have sort of included us in that. I love the Boston Celtics. I've always wanted to be a Boston Celtics. I'm 76 years old now, and I'm 5'4", maybe 5'3". I am going to demand my right to be on the Celtics. I'm white or I'm Jewish, both,
and you're short.
and I'm short, and I can jump 3-4 inches above what I am, and so I deserve to be on the Boston Celtics. Damn it!
Equity demands it.
Would you represent me on that?
Yeah, I will, but you got to pay me up front.
That's funny. Did you ever know a guy by the name of Dwayne Benton?
The judge?
Yeah.
I was at his daughter's wedding.
He was my lawyer for 6 years.
Really?
Under Harvey Teitelbaum, yes.
Oh.
And he was the kind of guy that I introduced him once in a speech following one of the Carnahans, and Carnahan was pretty stiff. And so now I'm going with the head judge of Missouri, the judge of the Supreme Court, my ex-lawyer. And so he gets up there, and I repeat all the stuff that he's ever done. And I said, and his biggest, longest stint has been the 6 years he's been my lawyer. And so he gets on the mic and he says, I would have stayed longer if you'd only paid me. And I said to him, I would have paid you if you'd won a case. It's pretty good.
How to make friends and influence people, right?
Yeah. He testified for me once on my, which divorce was this? My wife is sitting here right now. I'm trying to, I think this is the last, I don't remember which divorce. It's hard for me to know.
Yeah.
Anyways, all I know is I'm married to a beautiful woman. She's sitting right there, and she's playing with her phone. Anyway,
I was going to say, it doesn't matter how many old divorces you had, as long as you're not currently having a new one.
Yeah. No, I hope not. I think we're getting along very well, by the way. All right.
Yeah.
She has
What is
become
this, marriage counseling now?
She has become a Christian. She's become a Christian minister. Do you believe that? Do you know what one of her jobs is?
Converting Jews.
Bingo. Swear to God. And she's got this big damn sword there, a Solomon sword that she got for being anointed by Pastor Pat here in Rolla. And I'm thinking to myself about the movie Gladiator, where he was going to be assassinated, and they put the sword to his back, and he said, I want a gladiator, a soldier's death. And as they get up, he jumps up and knocks the blade into the guy, and he kills them all. Okay. So I told her once, I says, all right, if you ever come at me in the back, please let me have a soldier's death. Okay.
No, that's up to the courts, Dave. The courts are the one to give you that soldier's death.
There you go. Anyways, it's been great having you. Thank you for sitting in.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Jeff Zink is going to be up pretty soon, I think. Do you think Kennedy's going to make it?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's going to get confirmed. Pete might have to. Not Pete. JD might have to give the deciding vote, but yeah, I think he'll get confirmed.
Who's going to? Oh, you're talking about the
vice president.
Vice president.
Yeah.
Okay, because one of the doctors turned on him yesterday, and he's full of it. Cassidy. Yeah.
Well, nothing is less liked in D.C. than the truth, and nothing is less liked in D.C. than pointing out that all the people asking him questions are making millions of dollars from the same crooks that are killing us.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find and hire you and your lovely bride?
My website for the law firm is McCloskeyLaw.com. The phone number is 314-721-4000. And as my new full-time job, I'm representing J6ers in compensation and also trying to get their personal property back. You know, when the FBI came in and kicked in their doors and flashbanged their houses, they also stole a lot of personal property like guns and cell phones and computers and that sort of thing. And the new U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia is our hometown guy, Ed Martin. And he's the guy that's going to fix all this and get everybody their property back. We're hoping to set up a compensation commission so that we can get all these people the compensation they need for the way the government screwed them all.
Well, say hi to Patricia, but did you know that 50% of the world understands stats? The other 90% are clueless. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, what's his name? I don't know what that's name. Mark McCluskey.
Take care, Dave. Have a good weekend.
On fire. You look at it. It's on the screen. All right. Thank you. Hi to Pat. All right. Let me try. Are we just about done? Yes, we are. Oh, darn. I wanted to read the stuff on the thing, but I can't do it. I'll be back with another edition of Dave Weinbaum Show, God willing, next Friday.